Hello. Hi. Hi, Lumi. Hi. Hello. Welcome. This is weird. I instantly feel kind of like... Oh, I already feel kind of like... strange. I've never done anything like this before. Hello. Good morning, good morning! Oh, is it morning for some people? It probably is morning for some people. It's gonna be interesting. I kind of never, how do I say this? I think I hear from a lot of people that I have a softer voice. And hi, Cassie! And, I never really capitalize on it. But, I feel like I kind of should try that. If you know what I mean, like, Good evening. Hi, Viriel. My voice is kind of soft. So I thought, we'll try it. We'll try to read a story at night. It could be a new thing, I don't know. Maybe we'll do like, maybe we'll do some ASMR somewhere down the line. But I wanted to read a story. I don't know, it's kind of comfy. I just wanted to try something. I feel like all of a sudden, after the new year, I have like a bunch of ideas to try out, and yeah, it could be kind of cool. Thank you. It stopped until you get angry. Yeah, I think so. But hi, Linares. Hi. Well, I was mostly thinking like New Year, new ideas. Yeah, Yuri and I are planning out a no English weird sounds only stream, and I thought that'd be kind of fun. How's my audio, by the way? Is the music a bit loud, or is it okay? Spoopy time. Yeah, no English. Only weird sounds, like grub sounds or like that kind of thing. いいですね. Great audio, thank you. The music's a bit loud. Okay. If the music's a little bit loud, we'll turn it down. Simlish? Yeah, it'll be like Simlish with a mixture of like random sounds and who knows. Alright. Yeah, I wanted to read a scary story. So in the end, I said I would poll, but just for the first one, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna pick one that I can do. And you try it. This is my first time. I've never done this before. Do people like being read to? I think when I was younger, I didn't really like the idea of being read to. I'd rather read. So, but I hear it's kind of cozy. Right? I mean, it doesn't have to be for everyone. Yeah, kind of like creepypasta stuff. Yeah. Should we get into reading? I used to have stories on tape when I was a kid. I didn't listen to audiobooks, I think. Like I remember I listened to probably Harry Potter on audiobooks. And then almost nothing else. I listen to audiobooks every night at work. Well, now you can have Lumi VOD. You can have Lumi VOD at work. But it's gonna be kind of creepy. I mean, we can do other stories down the line. But it is midnight where I am, so I thought let's do creepy. Hey, remember to read the stories out loud? Okay, thank you. Hi, Jamie. Hi. Thank you for the follow. Thank you. Okay. I am talking softly. I really want to voice like an audiobook. I heard that you can do it. Kind of, like, it's one of those side gig kind of things. Hi, Jelly! Can someone shout out Jelly, please? Well, Jelly can technically shout out herself, but let's have someone else shout her out. Hi, Jelly! Alright. It's gonna be different. Usually I'm very excitable. Today, we're being ultra comfy. / creepy. Okay, I'm gonna read. If I get embarrassed, please don't make fun of me. This is new. I'm not really sure how to... Kinda new. Alright, are we ready? Ow. Some of my mods helped me find some books. You might want to disable throw redeems during this. Should I disable them? Alright. I will disable them. Oh. I wasn't sure. I mean, we could keep them on, but let's disable. If you guys think we should disable, we'll disable. Yeah. Let me do this, and then this, and then... Alright. Time to read story. Lumi, are you a Karen? No. What kind of question is that anyway? Thank you for the sub. First killer 4 months. I guess I just feel like if I do something that I haven't done before, will people like it? And if they don't like it, will they make fun of me or be upset? And I'm always kind of nervous. Alright. Carrot. No. Alright. I'm really shy. No, it's gonna be fine. Okay. Just really quick before we start. I've always felt really weird about acting. Like, I never act on stream. I think I'm being very genuine. And, something in me just doesn't like the idea of acting. So, I'm kind of nervous. Never really done this before. I'm just stepping out of my comfort zone, you know. That's something you do when you put yourself out there. Okay. It's called My Property Isn't Normal. And, my mods helped me find it, so it's gonna be kind of creepy. Hopefully you guys either have some snacks or, like, are in bed or really cozy. Yeah, let's read. No more dawdling. I feel like I'm spending too much time. Sorry, I'm really nervous. Okay. You could say I live in the middle of nowhere. I prefer to call it the middle of the wilderness, though. And after living alone out here long enough, I thought I'd become familiar with the land out there and even get comfortable. But I never have gotten comfortable. Maybe used to this place, but never comfortable. I'm pretty sure I can hold my own out here for the time being. But even so, lots of weird shit happens out here. Glad to finally have a way to tell strangers who probably won't judge or call me crazy, though. Back to the topic at hand. Weird stuff. I'll start with the first odd experience I had here. When I first purchased this land, I was really excited. There was already a house on the property that was the perfect size for me. Not only that, but it seemed pretty new. Like the former owners didn't stay around very long. Yeah, red flags, but how was I supposed to know how messed up this place was? Anyway, I move in without any issues, and within a week, I'm out on some of the trails that were already there, looking for deer tracks and other game trails. I'm actually having a pretty relaxing time until I swear I hear a baby say mama in the most stereotypical voice I've ever heard off in the distance. Now, like I said, I'm not here in the middle of nowhere, so there shouldn't be anyone for miles. I just shook it off as me hearing things. 20 minutes later, I hear the same voice say Mama again. Only this time, it's 40 yards away on the other side of some trees and brush. It didn't even sound like a real baby, just like some disturbed man. Of course, at this point, he's definitely on my property as well. I start making my way through the undergrowth. Then when I'm about to hit where he was, the brush clears out to a clearing and I finally get a glimpse of the man. He was butt naked and halfway behind a tree and flaunting a huge smile while his eyes stay kind of squinty. He was pretty skinny as I could see his ribs. Now, usually you don't hear people say, "At this moment my blood ran cold." And honestly, mine didn't. I was looking at some butt-naked crackhead trespassing on my property. He decided to let out another mama during silence when I was trying to figure out my next move. So I promptly responded with a hearty, "What the fuck are you doing?" And that's when he decided to make my next move for me. He started running at me, and I might have run away if he hadn't been so scrawny. So when he reached me with that big smile and looked like he was about to grab me, I punched him in the throat. It was a good punch. I was proud of it, honestly. It would have kept any normal man on the ground for at least a minute. This is where I got the first hint that it wasn't a normal man. While I was standing there, proud of my Mike Tyson level haymaker, the guy immediately got back to his feet. And before I had time to hit him again, he dive tackled me to the ground. It hurt pretty bad. He somehow pinned my shoulders to the ground, and no matter how hard I kicked and punched him, he wouldn't let up, so I was forced to use Plan B. I pulled out my trusty Bear Grylls survival knife and stabbed him in the gut twice. This finally got his attention, and he hopped back to his heels slinging blood all over me in the process. I got back to my feet, knife in hand, and waited for him to do something else. All he did, though, was stick a finger in his wound and then lick the blood off. Then cartwheel into the woods, crying like an actual newborn baby this time. Now, by this point, I was pretty on edge. And right as he got far enough away that I could no longer hear him, I turned and walked home. I know I should have run, but running through the woods is so tiring and I just didn't feel like it. When I got home, all was normal again. For a while. Another story that comes to mind when I think about odd things happening around the area is the event that led me to no longer camp in my woods. By the time that events in this story took place, I'd already experienced quite a few things on this property. And this was easily the third freakiest thing to happen up till that point. Right behind the naked stab victim that cried like a newborn baby and cartwheeled. This time I had decided I wanted to go camping. Despite all the stuff that had happened, I'd never been seriously injured in those woods. So why not go to sleep in them, right? Bad choice, I know. Ow. I thought I'd turn that off, but mods can still do it, I guess. Please don't throw shit at me, mods. That's so mean. Where was I? Am I doing okay, by the way? I was clearing the thing? Okay. Am I doing okay? Despite all the stuff that had happened, I'd never been seriously injured in the woods, so why not go sleep in them? Alright. Anyways, the first few hours when I got into the woods went fine. I set up camp, built a fire, burnt myself trying to cook a hot dog, pissed on the fire that burnt me. Then... oh, the thunder is louder than my voice. Okay, how's this? Now I feel like it's It's gotten really dark outside, hasn't it? It wasn't this dark when I started. Am I using rainy mood? No, I'm using my noise. Okay. Then I started to realize camping is pretty boring when you're all alone. So I decided to go to sleep. Next thing I know, I wake up to the sound of a young girl's voice down the creek. Sounds like she's college-type age. She's saying, "Help! I need some help down here. I'm lost. Dad? Help!" And all I can hear her down in the creek, and I can hear her down in the creek from my tent. Now, this, again, isn't the first time I've been lured into the woods by a voice pleading for help. But this voice was a lot more convincing than the others. Nonetheless, I still brought my newly purchased .45 caliber handgun that I'd bought for dealing with, you know, the things on the land. I made my way into the creek, flashlight in hand, and headed down to the voice. Soon, I couldn't find the source. Now, I didn't put the flashlight beam on her right away because I didn't want to blind her, but I could clearly see the outline of a small girl sitting on the bank of the creek. I got about 15 feet away and she stopped me, stating that you really don't need that flashlight with the moon like this. It wasn't even close to a full moon, so that confused me a little. I replied with, I don't know about you, but I can't see a thing out here. Let me help you, though. Are you hurt? I started to shine the flashlight on her, but she screamed, "Stop!" before I got to her face. This time, her voice wasn't as convincing. I could tell she wasn't human. Now, what you guys need to realize is that I'm not a badass, and I'm not trying to sound cool or tough, but ever since something happened 3 years ago, the same event that caused me to move out here, I don't respond to situations the same anymore. Maybe I'm not scared of death anymore? Maybe I'm mentally unstable. Maybe I'm just weird. But when I established that this thing wasn't human, I started to smile. It fooled me, got me out here in the woods, in its domain. It's probably going to make an attempt on my life. But I might as well piss it off a little. So I flicked my flashlight up and revealed its face. It was actually a girl. Sort of. She was super pale and had abnormally large eyes that were completely black. When the light hit her face, her head snapped forward and made eye contact with me, and her jaw opened 3 times larger than any human could. Then she screamed. It was loud, like inhuman loud. It sounded like a girl's scream, but felt as if it were being played through massive speakers to make it ear-splitting. And I felt something closing around my neck. She hadn't moved, but was somehow choking me, still screaming. I've realized while living here that the entities that can hurt you can also get hurt themselves. Now, most of them are tough as nails, but they can be hurt. This memory went through my head just as I felt something warm dripping onto my neck, and my left ear went quiet. Busted eardrum. I aggressively threw my flashlight at the bitch, and it connected with what I assume was her eye. I couldn't tell for sure, but because I didn't have the flashlight. And yes, I did forget to use the gun. It was new, and in the current life or death situation, I forgot I had it. Luckily, this girl wasn't one of the tough ones, and I felt the grip on my neck loosen, and her scream stopped. No sooner had I taken my first breath when she bent over backwards, possession sound, sprinted into the woods in reverse. When I finally caught my breath, I slowly walked by to my campsite and went to sleep in the tent. Now, you may be asking why I didn't go back home after that. But it was a 20-minute hike and my flashlight was broken, so I really did have to wait until morning. I slept pretty good though. No noises woke me up. I woke up the next morning, expecting my ear to be killing me, but miraculously, it was back to normal. I later figured out that it was the lady in the tree who fixed my ear, but that's a story for another time. That morning, I just packed everything and headed back home. Only thing that got me messed up was my flashlight, so I wasn't even disappointed in the trip. I still don't camp out there anymore, because no matter how weirdly wired I am, that girl really did freak me out a good bit. And I'm sure she's still out there, somewhere. What you will notice, at least so far, is that these entities aren't really effective killers. That doesn't mean go for everything out there. I can tell y'all that the property without mentioning Skinny. Fuck Skinny. I understand that skinwalkers are a common topic in the horror scene at the moment, and from what I can tell, I think that is the creature I'm dealing with. But I could also be wrong. Because if this is a skinwalker, it's advanced to another level. Not only does it imitate voice, it imitates appearance. And it really wants me dead or gone. I like to call it Skinny. I think it pisses him off though, and when I say his name, I say it loud, because especially at night, I know he's listening. I've lived here for years. For 3 years now, and he's been harassing me for about a year. And he's good. One of the smartest things to come after me so far. The only one that can seem to almost get in my head. He tries to lure me out, not by pretending to be someone in trouble like the other imitators or that I've dealt with. He's aware that that stuff doesn't work on me anymore. No, he tries to piss me off. He wants me to try and kill him. The problem is, we know I probably can't. One time, he got me though. I was watching a documentary about veteran suicide. It's a really terrible topic. I'm a supporter of our armed forces, and I think it's terrible our government doesn't take better care of our vets, and especially when they risk everything overseas so we don't have to. They were doing a slideshow of men who had unfortunately lost the struggle with their own demons. I had to look away for a second because one guy that appeared on screen looked so young and happy to have gone to this dark of a place. He was athletic looking, kind of had a big dimpled smile on his face. When I look away, suddenly I'm staring at that same kid outside my window. Same smile, same build, same uniform. One difference. Across his forehead was the word failure. I instantly knew it was Skinny. He wasn't trying to imitate this kid. He was insulting him. And he finally struck a nerve. I'd seen him imitate so many other people and try so many other tactics, but this is the one that finally broke me. I was ending this creature. I exploded out of my chair and bolted for my bedroom, grabbed the .45 caliber, and proceeded to walk towards the same window the young soldier was staring through. I got within 5 feet and saw the word had changed. Now it spelled out, I deserved it. After reading this, I didn't hesitate to raise my gun and fire 2 shots, but I think he ducked them. The bastard is fast. I stormed outside to try and find him, but he wasn't anywhere to be seen. That's when I hear, "Gotcha," whispered into my ear, and I was flung against the wall of my house. The gun flew out of my hand in the process. I broke 2 ribs and dislocated my right shoulder. I was a dead man, and he knew it. Ever since the incident that led me to buy a house by myself out in the middle of the woods, I don't think I ever felt fear again. Something's wrong with my head, but I did feel defeat. I fell for his trap, and now he's going to kill me. As these thoughts passed through my brain, I passed out from the pain. And the concussion, probably. Then, for some reason that I still don't understand, I woke up. It was bright outside, and I was covered in blood and in more pain than I'd ever been in my entire life. But I was alive. Why was I alive? I struggled to stand up with my right arm hanging loosely at my side. And I soon noticed the words he carved into the outside wall of my house. Next time, fuck Skinny. Ever since I got back from the hospital, I told the doctors I fell out from a roof. I've been trying to find ways to deal with or kill a skinwalker, if there is a way, or if he is even a skinwalker. He beat me. I'm usually pretty lighthearted with most of my experiences, no matter how intense they are, but I just can't with this one. Because if I lose to Skinny again, I think I'll be signing off for good. Be careful out there. And don't be fooled like me. There isn't always a next time. I don't know if I should read part 2. Sorry, it's hitting me that I read a story and I'm kind of like, very shy. This is like the first time I'm singing again. I feel like I'm just like, it's really embarrassing. So anyway, part 2. Moral of the story is that OP suffers from DID or schizophrenia, probably. Am I okay at reading? Am I a good reader? I'm really embarrassed. I don't think I've never read to anyone before. It's weird. Ooh, it's kind of strange. Man. You're really good. Thank you, Cassie. Your voice is relaxing. Was it too relaxing or people falling asleep? Did you guys fall asleep already? Story wasn't for me. Okay. Well, let's find a different story. Viriel, can you link me another one? Viriel, please link another one. Viriel. Jack, please. Can we find like a more serious story? I was gonna read some Lovecraft. Calgary Keys are scary. I sent a short story to Discord. Is it pretty good, Annie? I could just read a bunch of stuff that people submit. I'd be happy to do that. I don't know. Oh, you guys sent me a shit ton. Thank you. What the fuck is this? My sugar daddy asks me for weird favors. Alright, I like a bit of humor. I like a bit of humor, I suppose. Hello? Lovecraft? Wait, this sounds weird because it's got like text in it. I'm not sure how to deal with that one. The Demon Part 1 by Mikhail Lermontov. Let's try this one. This is a poem. You want me to read a poem? My sugar daddy asked me for weird favors is good. I mean... Alright, we can do... Alright, let's do a Lovecraft and then we might come back and see. I was gonna read The Rats in the Walls, but there's some weird words in it. Let me find a clean version. Because there's a word that I don't want to say in The Rats in the Walls. If you know what I mean. Oh, Tom? Okay, we'll name it Tom. Alright, let's read it then. Alright, Black Tom. Right, Lovecraft. I have not read too much Lovecraft, to be completely honest with you. Okay. Ready? This is, The Rats in the Walls by H.P. Lovecraft. Hi, Lick. On July 16th, 1923, I moved into Exham Priory after the last workman had finished his labors. The restoration had been a stupendous task, for little had remained of the deserted pile but a shell-like ruin. Yet because it had been the seat of my ancestors, I let no expense deter me. The place had not been inhabited since the reign of James I, when a tragedy of intensely hideous, though largely unexplained nature had struck down the master, 5 of his children, and several servants, and driven forth under a cloud of suspicion and terror the 3rd son, my lineal progenitor, and the only survivor of the abhorred line. With this sole heir denounced as a murderer, the estate had reverted to the crown, nor had the accused man made any attempt to exculpate himself or regain his property. Shaken by some horror greater than that of conscience or the law, and expressing only a frantic wish to exclude the ancient edifice from his sight and memory, Walter de la Poer, 11th Baron Exham, fled to Virginia and there founded the family by which the next century had become known as Delapoer. Exham Priory had remained untenanted, though later allotted to the estates of the Norris family and much studied because of its peculiarly composite architecture, an architecture involving Gothic towers resting on a Saxon or Romanesque substructure, whose foundation in turn was a still earlier order or blend of orders, Roman and even Druidic or native Cymric, if the legends speak truly. This foundation was a very singular thing, being merged on one side of the solid limestone of the precipice, from whose brink the priory overlooked a desolate valley 3 miles west of the village of Anchester. Architects and antiquarians loved to examine the strange relic of forgotten centuries, but the country folk hated it. They'd hated it hundreds of years before, when my ancestors lived there, and they hated it now, with the moss and the mold of abandonment on it. I'd not been a day in Anchester before I knew I came upon the accursed house, and this week workmen have blown up Exham Priory and are busy obliterating the traces of its foundations. The bare statistics of my ancestry I had always known, together with the fact that my first American forebear had come into the colonies under a strange cloud. Of details, however, I had been kept wholly ignorant through the policy of reticence always maintained by the Delapoers. Unlike our planter neighbors, we are seldom boasted of crusading ancestors or other medieval or Renaissance heroes, nor was any kind of tradition handed down except what may have been recorded in the sealed envelope left before the Civil War by every squire to its eldest son for posthumous opening. The glories we cherished were those achieved since the migration, the glories of a proud and honorable, if somewhat reserved and unsocial, Virginia line. During the war, our fortunes were extinguished, and our whole existence changed by the burning of Carfax, our home on the banks of the James. My grandfather, advanced in his years, had perished in the incendiary outrage, and with him the envelope that bound us all to the past. I can recall that fire today, as I saw it then at the age of 7, with the Federal soldiers shouting, the women screaming, and the servants howling and praying. My father was in the army, defending Richmond, and after many formalities, my mother and I passed through the lines to join him. When the war ended, we all moved north, whence my mother had come, and I grew into manhood, middle age, and ultimate wealth as a stolid Yankee. Neither my father nor I ever knew what our hereditary envelope had contained, and as I emerged into the greyness of Massachusetts business life, I lost all interest in the mysteries which evidently lurked far back in my family tree. Had I suspected their nature, how gladly I would have left Exham Priory to its moss, bats, and cobwebs. My father died in 1904, but without any message to leave me or to my only child, Alfred, a motherless boy of 10. It was this boy who reversed the order of family information, for although I could give him only jesting conjectures about the past, he wrote me of some very interesting ancestral legends when the late war took him to England in 1917 as an aviation officer. Apparently, the Delapours had a colourful and perhaps sinister history, for a friend of my son's, Captain Edward Norris of the Royal Flying Corps, dwelt near the family seat at Anchester and related some peasant superstitions which few novelists could equal for wildness and incredibility. Norris himself, of course, did not take them seriously. They amused my son and made good material of his letters to me. It was this legendary which definitely turned my attention to my transatlantic heritage and made me resolve to purchase and restore the family seat which Norris showed to Alfred and its picturesque desertion, and offered to get him for a surprisingly reasonable figure, since his own uncle was the present owner. I bought Exham Priory in 1918, but was almost immediately distracted from my plans of restoration by the return of my son as a maimed invalid. During 2 years that he lived, I thought of nothing but his care, having even placed my business under the direction of partners. In 1921, as I found myself bereaved and aimless, a retired manufacturer no longer young, I resolved to divert my remaining years with my new possession. Visiting Anchester in December, I was entertained by Captain Norris, a plump, amiable young man who thought much of my son and secured his assistance in gathering plans and anecdotes to guide in the coming restoration. Exham Priory itself I saw without emotion, a jumble of tottering medieval ruins covered with lichens and honeycombed with rooks' nests, perched perilously upon a precipice, and denuded of floors or other interior furnitures, saved the stone walls of the separate towers. As I gradually recovered the image of the edifice as it had been with my ancestor left it over 3 centuries before, I began to hire workmen for the reconstruction. In every case, I was forced to go outside the immediate locality, for the Anchester villagers had an almost unbelievable fear of labourers and hatred of the place. This sentiment was so great that it sometimes communicated to the outside labourers, causing numerous desertions, whilst its scope appeared to include both the priory and its ancient family. Let me drink some water, sorry. Reading. Okay. My son had told me that he was somewhat avoided during his visits because he was a Delapour, and I found myself subtly ostracized for like reason, until I convinced the peasants how little I knew of my heritage. Even though they sullenly disliked me, so that I had to collect most of the village traditions through the meditation of Norris. What the people could not forgive, perhaps, was that I had come to restore symbols so abhorrent to them, for, rationally or not, they viewed Exham Priory as nothing less than a haunt of fiends and werewolves. Piecing together the tables which Norris had collected for me, and supplementing them with the accounts of several savants who had studied the ruins, I denounced that Exham Priory stood on the site of a prehistoric temple, a druidical or anti-druidical thing, which must have been contemporary with Stonehenge. That indescribable rites had been celebrated there, few doubted, and there were unpleasant tales of the transference of these rites into the Sibyl worship which the Romans had introduced. Inscriptions still visible on the subcellar bore unmistakable letters such as DIV, OPS, MAGNA, MAT. Sign of the Magna Mater, whose dark worship was once vainly forbidden to Romans. Anchester had been the camp of the 3rd Augustan Legion, as many remains attest, and it was said that the temple of Cybele was splendid and thronged with worshippers who performed nameless ceremonies at the bidding of a Phrygian priest. Tales added that the fall of old religion did not end the orgies at the temple, but that the priest lived on in the new faith without real change. Likewise, it was said that the rites did not vanish with the Roman power, and that certain among the Saxons added to what remained of the temple, and gave it the essential outline it subsequently preserved, making it the center of a cult feared through half the Heptarchy. About 1000 AD, the place is mentioned in a chronicle as being a substantial stone priory, housing a strange and powerful monastic order, and surrounded by extensive gardens, which needed no walls to exclude a frightened populace. It was never destroyed by the Danes, though after the Norman conquest it must have declined tremendously, since there was no impediment when Henry III granted the site to my ancestor Gilbert de la Pore, 1st Baron Exham, in 1261. Of my family before this date there is no evil report, but as something strange would have happened then. In one chronicle there is reference to de la Pore as the cursed of God in 1307, whilst village legendary had nothing but evil and frantic fear to tell of the castle that went up on the foundations of the old temple and priory. The fireside tales were of the most grisly description, all the ghastlier because of their frightened reticence and cloudy evasiveness. They represented my ancestors as a race of hereditary demons, beside whom Gilderetz and the Marquis de Sade would seem the veriest tyros, and hinted whisperingly at the responsibility for the occasional disappearance of villages through several generations. There's a lot of history in this one, guys. Why is there so much history? Continuing. Is this all history? I'm sorry, is this all history? Okay. Build up. Alright. Alright, we'll continue. Comfy, I love history. Alright, if you guys love history, then I'll read it. Are you enjoying the story? There's no story yet. I don't know if I'm enjoying it. Let's read about Stalingrad. Let's read about Stalingrad. It's journal style. Alright, let's continue. We'll finish the Lovecraft and see how people feel, I suppose. But it is kind of dry. Alright. Where was I? Alright. The worst characters apparently were the barons of their direct heirs, at least. Most was whispered. One second. You're supposed to be kind of bored but curious as to what's going on? I suppose? Alright. Okay. Let's just keep going. The worst characters apparently were the barons and their direct heirs. At least most was whispered about these. If of healthier inclinations, it was said, an heir would early and mysteriously die to make way for their more typical scion. There seemed to be an inner cult in the family, presided over by the head of the house, and sometimes closed except to a few members. Temperament, rather than ancestry, was evidently the basis of the cult, for it was entered by several who married into the family. Lady Margaret Trevor from Cornwall, wife of Godry, the second son of the 5th Baron, became a favourite bane of children all over the countryside, and the demon heroine of a particularly horrible old ballad, not yet extinct near the Welsh border. Preserved in balladry too, though not illustrating the same point, is the hideous tale of Lady Mary de la Poer, who was shortly after her marriage to the Earl of Shrewsfield, was killed by him and his mother, both of the slayers being absolved and blessed by the priest, to whom they confessed what they dared not repeat to the world. These myths and ballads, typical as they were of crude superstition, repelled me greatly. Their persistence and their application to so long a line of my ancestors were especially annoying, whilst their imputations of monstrous habits proved unpleasantly reminiscent of the one known scandal of my imminent forebears. The case of my cousin, young Randolph de la Poer of Carfax, who went among the servants, became a voodoo priest after he returned from the Mexican War. I was much less disturbed by the vaguer tales of wails and howlings in the barren Winsett Valley, beneath the limestone cliff, of the graveyard stenches after the spring rains, of the floundering, squealing white thing on which Sir John Clave's horse had trod on one night in the lonely field, and of the servant who had gone mad at what he'd saw in the priory in the full light of day. These things were hackneyed spectral lore, and I was at the time a pronounced skeptic. The accounts of vanished peasants were less to be dismissed, though not especially significant in view of medieval custom. Prying curiosity meant death, and more than one severed head had been publicly strewn on the bastions, now effaced, around Exham Priory. A few of the tales were exceedingly picturesque, and made me wish I had learned more of comparative mythology in my youth. There was, for instance, the belief that a legion of bat-winged devils kept the witches' sabbath each night at the priory, a legion whose sustenance might explain the disproportionate abundance of coarse vegetables harvested in the vast gardens. And the most vivid of all was the dramatic epic of the rats, the scampering army of obscene vermin, which had burst forth from the castle 3 months earlier, after the tragedy that had doomed it to desertion. Lean, filthy, ravenous army which had swept all before it and devoured fowl, cats, dogs, hogs, sheep, and even 2 hapless human beings before its fury was spent. Around that unforgettable rodent army, a whole separate cycle of myths revolves, for it scattered among the people and village homes and brought curses and horrors in its train. Such was the lore that assailed me as I pushed to completion, with an elderly obstinacy, the work of restoring my ancestral home. It must not be imagined for a moment that these tales formed my principal psychological environment. On the other hand, I was constantly praised and encouraged by Captain Norris and the antiquarians who surrounded and aided me. When the task was done, over 2 years after its commencement, I viewed the great rooms, wainscoted halls, vaulted ceilings, mullioned windows, and broad staircases with a pride which fully compensated for the prodigious expense of the restoration. Every attribute of the Middle Ages was cunningly reproduced, and the new parts blended perfectly with the original walls and foundations. The siege of my fathers was complete, and I looked forward to redeeming at last the local fame of the line which ended in me. I would reside here permanently and prove that De La Poor, for I had adopted again the original spelling of the name, need not be a fiend. My comfort was perhaps augmented by the fact that although Axum Priory was medievally fitted, its interior was in truth wholly new and free from old vermin and ghosts alike. As I've said, I moved in on July 16th, 1923. My household consisted of 7 servants and 9 cats, of which latter species I am particularly fond of. My eldest cat, Black Tom, was 7 years old and had come with me from my home in Bolton, Massachusetts. The others I had accumulated whilst living with Captain Norris's family during the restoration of the priory. For 5 days, our routine proceeded with the utmost placidity, my time being spent mostly in the codification of old family data. I had now obtained some very circumstantial accounts of the final tragedy and the flight of Walter de la Poer, which I conceived to be the probable contents of the hereditary paper lost in the fire at Carfax. It appeared that my ancestor was accused with much reason of having killed all of the other members of his household, except 4 servant confederates in their sleep, about 2 weeks after a shocking discovery which had changed his whole demeanor, but which, except by implication, he disclosed to no one, save perhaps the servants, who assisted him and afterward fled beyond reach. Let me drink some water. This deliberate slaughter, which included a father, 3 brothers, 2 sisters, was largely condoned by the villagers, and so slackly treated by the law that its perpetrator had escaped honored, unharmed, and undisguised to Virginia. The general whispered sentiment being that he had purged the land of an immemorial curse. What discovery had prompted an act so terrible I could scarcely even conjecture. Walter de la Poer must have known for years the sinister tales about his family, so that this material could have given him no fresh impulse. Had he, then, witnessed some appalling ancient rite, or stumbled upon some frightful and revealing symbol in the priory or its vicinity? He was reputed for having been a shy, gentle youth in England. In Virginia, he seemed not so much hard or bitter as harassed and apprehensive. He was spoken of in the diary of another gentleman adventurer, Francis Harley of Bellevue, as a man of unexampled justice, honor, and delicacy. On July 22nd occurred the first incident which, though lightly dismissed at the time, takes on a preternatural significance in relation to later events. It was so simple to be almost negligible, and I cannot possibly have been noticed under the circumstances, for it must be recalled that since I was in a building practically fresh and new except for the walls, and surrounded by a well-balanced staff of servitors, apprehension would have been absurd despite the locality. What I afterward remembered is merely this, that my old black cat, whose moods I knew so well, was undoubtedly alert and anxious to an extent wholly out of keeping with his natural character. He roved from room to room, restless and disturbed, and sniffed constantly about the walls which formed the part of the old Gothic structure. I realized how trite this sounds, like the inevitable dog in the ghost story, which always growls before his master sees the sheeted figure, yet I cannot consistently suppress it. The following day, a servant complained of restlessness among all the cats in the house. He came to me in my study, a lofty west room on the 2nd story, with groined arches, black oak panelling, and triple Gothic window overlooking the limestone cliff and desolate valley, and even as he spoke, I saw the jetty form of Black Tom creeping along the west wall and scratching at the new panels which overlaid the ancient shore. I told the man that there must be some singular odor or emanation from the stonework, imperceptible to human senses, but affecting the delicate organs of cats, even through the new woodwork. This I truly believed, but affecting the delicate organs of cats, but affecting the delicate organs of cats even through the new woodwork. This I truly believed, and when the fellow suggested the presence of mice or rats, I mentioned that there had been no rats there for 300 years, and that they'd never been known to stray. That afternoon, I called on Captain Norris, and he assured me that it would be quite incredible for field mice to infect the priory in such a sudden and unprecedented fashion. That night, dispensing with as usual with the valet, I retired in the West Tower chamber, which I had chosen as my own. Thank you for the gift sub. Thank you. Which I had chosen on my own, reached from the study by a stone staircase and short gallery, the former partly ancient, the latter entirely restored. This room was circular, very high, and without wainscoting, being hung with arrows which I myself had chosen in London. Seeing that Black Tom was with me, I shut the heavy Gothic door and retired by the light of the electric bulbs, which so cleverly counterfeited candles, finally switching off the light and sinking into the carved and canopied four-poster with the venerable cat in his accustomed place across my feet. I did not draw the curtains, but gazed out at the narrow north window which I faced. There was a suspicion of aurora in the sky, and the delicate traceries of some of the window were pleasantly silhouetted. At some time, I must have fallen quietly asleep, for I recall a distinct sense of having strange dreams. When the cat started violently from his placid position, I saw him in the faint auroral glow, head strained forward, 4 feet on my ankles, hind feet stretched behind. He was looking intensely at a point on the wall, somewhat west of the window, and at a point which my eye had nothing to mark it, but toward which way all my attention was now directed. As I watched, I knew that Black Tom was not vainly excited. Whether the arrows actually moved, I cannot say. I think it did. Very slightly. But what I can swear to is that behind it, I heard a low, distinct scurrying of rats. Or mice. In a moment, the cat had jumped bodily on the screening tapestry, bringing the affected section of the floor with his weight, and exposing a damp, ancient wall of stone, patched here and there by the restorers, and devoid of any trace of rodent prowlers. Black Tom raced up, down the floor by this part of the wall, clawing the fallen arrows, and after a time returned warily to his place across my feet. I had not moved, but I did not sleep again that night. In the morning, I questioned all the servants and found that none of them had noticed anything unusual, save the cook, who remembered the actions of a cat which had rested on her windowsill. This cat had howled at some unknown hour of the night, awaking the cook in time for her to see him dart purposely out of the open door and down the stairs. I drowsed away noontime, and in the afternoon called again on Captain Norris, appealed to his sense, who became exceedingly interested in what I told him. The odd incidents, so slight yet so curious, appealed to his sense of the picturesque, and elicited from him a number of reminiscences of local ghostly lore. We were genuinely perplexed at the presence of rats, and Norris lent me some of the traps in Paris Green, which I had the servants place in strategic localities when I returned. I retired early, being very sleepy, but was harassed by dreams of the most horrible sort. I seemed to be looking down from an immense height with a twilight grotto, knee-deep in filth, where a white-bearded demon, swineherd, drove about with his staff a flock of fungus, flabby breasts, whose appearance filled me with unutterable loathing. Then, as the swineherd paused and nodded over his task, a mighty swarm of rats rained down on the stinking abyss and fell to devouring the beasts and men alike. From this terrific vision, I was abruptly awakened by the motions of Black Tom, who had been sleeping across my feet as usual. This time I did not have time to question the source of his snarls and hisses, and of the fear which made him sink his claws into my ankle, unconscious of their effect, for on every side of the chamber the walls were alive with a nauseating sound, the verminous slithering of ravenous, gigantic rats. There was now no Aurora to shew the state of the arras, the fallen section which had been replaced, but I was not too frightened to switch on a light. As the bulbs leapt into radiance, I saw a hideous shaking all over my tapestry, causing the somewhat peculiar designs to execute a singular dance of death. This motion disappeared almost at once, and the sound with it. Springing out of bed, I poked at the arrows with my long handle of a warming pan that rested near, and lifted one section to see what lay beneath. There was nothing that the patched stone wall, or even the cat had lost his tense realization of abnormal presences. When I examined the circular trap that had been placed in the room, I found all of the openings sprung, though no trace remained of what had been caught and escaped. Give me my water. Alright, let's keep going. I feel like I'm reading myself to sleep. Sorry, kinda comfy. I don't know how much I enjoy the story, to be completely honest. I feel like I might wanna... I'm sleepy. Okay, let me wake up. I was starting to get micro sleeps. I don't know if you can tell. If my eyes do like a this, I'm micro sleeping. I'm kind of curious as to see what happens, but at the same time I'm also kind of lulling myself. I don't want to leave it on red. Sounds healthy. Alright, let's finish this one. We'll finish it. I don't really get drowsy anymore. I think my body just gives up. Put it on TTS? That's not fun. That defeats the purpose of story. Alright. Maybe stand up and walk around a bit to wake up? No, my body just... sometimes it gives up. It's like, you've had enough awake time. Time to sleep, and then it forces me. Honestly, don't know how to feel about it. I was playing Shadowverse on the side. I enjoy the concept of Lovecraft, but I think I need something more horrific. If that makes sense? Are you sure it's not your body going, please sleep, I can't stay awake anymore? This is one of his more creeping stories. Nice. Alright, 1 second. Viriel, Jack, please, story. Viriel, story, please. We're gonna save this one for another time. The ideas are interesting, but the stories can be too... It's, I think, I guess if you enjoy Lovecraft, or the premise, it's linked in Lumicord so you can find it. Let's find something a little bit more... Are you writing a story in my DMs right now? Now read the Sugar Daddy one? Alright, let's read the Sugar Daddy one. I said we would do Lovecraft and then Sugar Daddy. Let's do Sugar Daddy. Alright, this one has quotes. I'm gonna have to do some voices. I enjoy psychological horror. I mean, I don't really like horror in general. I'm kind of a scaredy cat, so... Alright, this is called... My Sugar Daddy Asks Me for Weird Favors. Next time I'm around, it would be nice to read along. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Alright. That's a good idea. If we want to do this again, we'll put that in. His Tinder profile said he was 45, but he looked to be in his early 30s at most. Looking for a sugar baby. $700 weekly, no sex. It sounded too good to be true, but as a broke university student, I was willing to take my chances. I swiped right and Tinder let me know it was a match. His message came seconds later. Hey there, sweetheart. I cringed at the word. I hated it, but $700 was $700, so I sucked it up and replied, hey. His name was Jack, and he told me he owned his own business, although he never specified what kind of business it was. We talked for a while before he asked me for my Venmo to send me my first payment. After a few minutes, I got the notification. I stared at the $700 for at least 20 minutes, expecting to wake up from a dream at any second. But it wasn't a dream. You still there? I clicked on the message. Yeah, sorry. If you don't mind me asking, what are you looking for in return? I stared at the chat until he replied. I'm just looking for you to do a few favors for me. That sounded like it was gonna be sexual to me. Like what? For example, the first thing I need you to do is pick up a delivery for me. That sounded innocent enough, but I was still expecting there to be some kind of twist. $700 to pick up a package? Come on, even I was not naive. From the post office or something? No, but I'll send you the address. But I'd rather not do this through Tinder. You have Kick? Or you can give me your number. Kick? What was this, 2011? I decided to give him my number instead, and he texted me the address immediately, followed by the address to his house, where I'd have to drop off the package. I'm not home right now, but there's a key on the bottom of the blue flower pot near the door. Go inside and put the package on the coffee table in the living room. Make sure that you lock the door when you go inside the house, then lock it again when you leave. I grabbed my car keys and wallet and got into my car, putting the address into Google Maps. Got it. On my way. My phone buzzed as I backed out of my driveway. I'm serious. Lock the door. Both times. Please. I thought that was a little excessive, but I promised him that I would. The house looked abandoned. It had a broken chain link fence around it, with a small door that was hanging on to dear life. It stuck out like a sore thumb, surrounded by houses that were a lot nicer than this one in comparison. You here for Jack's shit? I looked up to see a man standing in the open doorway of the house. He took up almost the entire space, his head skimming the top of the door frame. He was huge in height and muscles, and his entire torso was covered in tattoos. Yeah, I guess, I replied, not moving from my spot on the sidewalk. Stay right here, he said. I did. I actually don't think I would have moved even if he had asked me to. I looked around and realized that there was no one else on the street. I was a 21-year-old woman alone in the street. I gripped my car keys. A few minutes later, the man came back out carrying a cardboard box. It was about the size of a shoebox, but stained and damp on some of the corners. Can you open your car? He asked. I opened the trunk, not wanting that inside on my car seats, and he set it in. All right, there you go, he said. Thanks, I replied. I walked around to the driver's side of the car and opened the door. Oh, and one more thing, he said. I looked at him. Watch out, he said. I didn't reply. I blasted my music as I drove to Jack's house, hoping it would drown out my anxiety. It didn't. I parked my car in the stone driveway and we stayed inside the car, admiring the house. It was a huge house with stone pillars on the front porch and the greenest grass I'd ever seen in my life. I turned the car off and got out. I grabbed the package and walked up to the front door, getting the key from where he said it would be. I opened it and stepped in, closing it behind me. I thought about what he'd said, about locking the door when I got inside. I thought that was a little bit overboard, but as I stared at the closed door, something made me reach out and lock it. I walked inside, my feet cushioned by the thick maroon carpet, and admired the inside of the house. All of the furniture was wooden and looked incredibly expensive. I would probably finish school a dozen times with the money that it took to furnish this place. I set the package down on the coffee table, and as I walked back to the door, I heard a phone ringing from somewhere inside the house. I froze. In my pocket, my phone buzzed. I took it out to look. Don't answer any calls that aren't from Marvin. I put my phone back and followed the sound on the phone, poking my head into a few different rooms before I found it in an office. I walked over to the desk and looked at the caller ID. Incoming call from Jack. I grabbed my phone to look at the message again. I was starting to get a little bit creeped out and decided I wouldn't answer just to be safe and left the house, remembering to lock the door as I left. I've done a few more favors for Jack since then. I drove a BMW to a random park in another city, only to get out and drive a different car back to Jack's house. He had me meet one of his employees at lunch, who then gave me a briefcase to deliver to the first house I'd gone to, and told me he would know if I looked inside. On several occasions, he asked me to drive down to that same house and stay with the guy, whose name was Julio, for a certain amount of time. In total, we'll call him Julio. In total, I've made around $3,500. Most recently, Jack asked me to stay in his house overnight. I woke up to a text message from him. I need you to spend the night at my house. I hadn't ever seen him in person, but I talked to him on the phone a few times. He proceeded to tell me that he would pay me $1,000 to spend the night at his house, provided that I follow a few rules. I drove to his house that evening. The driveway was empty, and it normally was, but the porch light was on. I walked up, unlocked the door, went inside, and then locked it again. Everything in the house looked the same. Jack had told me over the phone that he would leave the list of rules on the dining room table. I set all my stuff down in the living room. My bags looked like garbage compared to the fancy furniture in there. I wandered to the kitchen and then to the dining room. Sure enough, there was a piece of paper on the wooden table, held down by an empty glass. Lock the door once you come in. Only answer calls from Marvin. Don't turn on any faucets between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. Don't open the door for anyone, no matter who they say they are, after 10 p.m. If the door to the closet at the end of the hall is open, sleep in the library. If closed, sleep in any of the bedrooms. The gardener comes at midnight. If he starts knocking on the windows, hide. Turn on the TV and let it play on static through the night. Do not forget to do this. Help yourself to anything in the fridge, smiley face. I'll pay you in the morning. Good night. I made sure to follow all of the rules. To be honest, I was regretting my decision, but seeing as I was already here and I was getting paid, I decided to say anyway. I figured as long as I followed all the rules, I would be perfectly fine. Still, it felt a little odd. What was this? A haunted house? Nevertheless, I lounged around the house for a few hours as I was planning on going to sleep around 9, since that's the time all the weird shit would begin to happen. At 8:50, I brushed my teeth using the faucet for the last time before 9. I checked the closet in the hallway, and upon seeing that it was open, I moved my stuff into the library and got ready to sleep on the couch. I locked the doors just in case and laid on the couch, scrolling through my phone. I hadn't gotten any more messages from Jack, and I started to think up scenarios and reasons as to why he had such strict, peculiar sets of rules in his house. I dozed off at some point, because exactly at 10:16 p.m., I was woken by the doorbell ringing. But then, I remembered the rule. Don't open the door for anyone, no matter who they say they are, after 10 p.m. I stayed on the couch, trying not to move, paranoid that they would hear even the slightest sound. "It's the police! Open up!" I didn't move. "Hello? It's the police! Open up or we're coming in!" I didn't move, but I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. There was silence for a while after that. Then, the doorbell rang again. "Hey, it's Jack. Let me in." It sounded like Jack, but still I didn't get up. He would have a key, wouldn't he? Why would he need me to let him in? This continued for almost a full hour. Different people would ring the doorbell, announce themselves, and then disappear when I didn't respond. I was finally able to fall asleep, and the gardener never came. When I woke up in the morning, I heard someone in the kitchen. I got up slowly, unlocked the door as quietly as possible, taking my phone with me and walking across the living room and into the kitchen. I stopped at the entrance and peered in. It was Jack. He was standing in front of the stove, stirring something as the coffee machine brewed coffee on the counter behind him. "Hey, good morning," he said when he saw me. "Hi," I replied, nervous. I hadn't seen him in person before, but he looked exactly like his pictures online. "Scrambled eggs?" he asked, motioning to the pan with the wooden spoon. "Yeah, thanks," I replied, walking over to take the plate from him. I ate my breakfast and drank some coffee in silence. "So, how was it?" he asked. "It was okay. Nothing super freaky happened," I replied. "Cool," he replied. There was an awkwardness in the room. I think I'm gonna go now. I have class." I trailed off. I didn't, but I really wanted to get out of there. "Oh, yeah, sure, I'll talk to you some other time," he replied. I grabbed my stuff and he walked me to my car. I could see him standing in the driveway, staring at me as I left. When I got home, I unpacked all my stuff and noticed But I still had the list with me. I sat on my bed and read it again. I felt my body tense up as I realized I'd forgotten something. Turn the TV on and let it play static through the night. Do not forget to do this. Do not forget to do this. I stared at the words on the page until they lost meaning. Oh shit! Oh shit! Hey Domo! Hey Domo! We're reading some scary stories! Hey, you just got here for a good moment. Shit, welcome! Welcome Raiders! My name is Kaneko Lumi from CyberLife Gen 1. We're reading some fucking scary stories. Can I get a shout out for Domo? Hey Domo! How was your stream, dude? Were you interviewing someone today? Lumers? Yes? Let's go, Justin. Domo got nutted on? Who nutted on Domo? Kinda nasty, bro. Thank you for the follows. Just chatting this evening? Nice! If you're gonna go to bed, I'm reading some scary stories. I'm reading this one, and like, every little breeze that hits my leg or anything like that makes me freak out. I'm freaking out already. I'm freaking out, guys. It's really terrifying. He fell for D's nuts joke? Shit. I fall for those all the time, though. Alright. Let's keep reading. It's getting really scary, yeah. I'm actually really scared. I'm not having a good time. Alright. Beside me, my phone buzzed, snapping me back to reality. It was the $1,000 payment. I looked at my phone and then back at the first step. Maybe it wasn't an important step? As I was thinking it over, a text from Jack came. I'm not in town right now. I should be back next week, so you're free from running any more errands for me until then. Just send the payment. Go do something fun. I stared at the message and read it again. And again. And one more time for good measure. I'm not in town right now. I thought back to this morning and how Jack was in his house. How he gave me breakfast. I'm not in town right now. Within minutes, a new text came in, this time from a number that I didn't recognize. Did you forget to do something? The text was followed by a picture of Jack, or whoever this version of Jack was, standing in front of the TV. I didn't respond. Next came another picture. This one was the outside of my house. It was followed by another text. Watch out. Ah, scary. I don't like it. I don't like this story. I don't like this story. Oh my god, I don't like this story, guys. Fuck. Oh my god. You look amazing. Hope it's gonna be an amazing year for you. Thank you, Slopsy. Guys, this is a really scary one. Shit. Alright, just for Raiders, if you want to stick along, around, we're reading a scary story. So this one was about, this girl was asked to house sit a house, basically, and there were some weird rules. And then she forgot to do one of them. Wait, why shouldn't I read part 2? I really want to read part 2 now. Why shouldn't I read part 2? Your reading was way too good, thank you. It's very, very bad. Wait, bad in what way? Like TOS bad? It ruins the first part. Alright, well give me another one. Give me another one. Give me another scary... Let's do another scary story. I have a different story if you want. If you join Lumicord, you can recommend a couple. Ooh, that was really, really scary. Alright. Alright, wait. There's one called... Has anybody read this? I dared my best friend to ruin my life and he is succeeding. Is this one pretty good? You guys read this one? Wait, this is about identity theft. That's not scary. Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Our mutual friend Yuri sent me. Oh, hello, Mustache Gun. Hello. I wish I could read. Don't worry, Flame. I'll read for you. No worries. Someone sent me another story. Wenham is literally DMing me a story line by line. Before he keeps typing, please. He's still typing. He's on chapter 2 right now. Time travel is a good one? Alright, let's read the time travel one then. Alright, Annie seems to have good horror taste. You guys mind if I do this one? Alright. Speed greeting. I put one on the Discord. Okay. Annie, how is this one? Is this pretty good? Is it like bad? Hey, Neon! You're horrified? Are you actually? You told me that you don't get scared easily, so... Alright, this one is really short. This one's really short. Alright. This one's kinda gory. I'm making it up. Alright. Are you ready? Wait, you didn't read that one? Okay, let's read it. This is called... How do I get my girlfriend to knock off this annoying habit? So, I've been dating my girlfriend for almost a year, and last month we moved in together. Maybe that's kind of fast, I don't know. My parents sure thought it was. But honestly, everything was great in the beginning. We get along really well, and we've never had more than a brief argument. But then... she started whistling. It's so dumb, I know. But she's always whistling this weird song, and it really gets on my nerves. My mom kept telling me that once you move in with someone, you discover all of the quirks they've been hiding from you. And it's not like I didn't expect that to be true, but for some reason, it's an ongoing issue with us, and I just don't know what to do. At first, I would just hear her whistling when she was showering. It was kind of cute, like her own distinct little bathroom theme song. I didn't recognize the melody because it was very distinct. I could mimic it from memory if I wanted to. In fact, sometimes it gets stuck in my head, and it drives me a little crazy. You know the type. After a week or so, I asked her what the song was, and she just laughed. I'm wondering if maybe she came up with it on her own. Something that she does absently, especially once she started doing it more. Like, I'd be reading a book, and she'd be on the computer, and she'd just start whistling. And I tried to ignore it. I seriously feel like a dick for being so grumpy about it, and I know she wasn't trying to do it to annoy me, but she'd just go on, and it would pull my attention away from whatever I was doing. So finally, I said something a few nights ago. I was going over some legal documents for work, and she just starts whistling like crazy on, and I'm trying to block it out. But it's seriously excessive. Like, I know you guys are probably thinking that I was overreacting, but... it felt like she was whistling right into my ear, and it just frayed my last bit of patience. As calmly and as nicely as I could, I called out to her and asked her to quiet down. She didn't reply. I asked her again, and still she didn't answer, so I left the bedroom, found her in the living room, watching a movie. She wasn't whistling anymore, and for some reason that really irked me. It felt like she was messing with me, and she just looked over at me like she didn't know what my deal was. I asked her if she could stop whistling so much, and she told me she wasn't whistling. Now, I get that maybe she doesn't realize she's doing it, but no one whistles that much doesn't notice. It's not really like her to mess with me like that, and I know what she's trying to get out of this. I don't know what she's trying to get out of this. I thought maybe she was just teasing or playing a joke. But she had to see how annoyed I was. I asked her again not to whistle so loudly, and she didn't answer. There was tension in the room, and it felt like our first fight since moving in together. Even though she didn't whistle for the rest of the night, I couldn't focus on my work anyway, because I was so upset about the confrontation. Then, of course, the next night, she was whistling again. I hear her when she comes home from work, She keeps going for at least an hour. I didn't want to have another fight, so I just hung out in the bedroom and listened to her move around for a while. I felt like I was blowing things out of proportion, but honestly, how hard is it to not whistle all the time? It was no big deal when it was now and then, but I feel like she whistles more than she even talks to me now. But I feel like... So I'm sitting in the room, thinking about that, and that's probably why I was so worked up when I finally came down. She was cooking dinner, which is sweet, but she was still whistling. So I said, softly, "Hey, honey, maybe we should put on some music instead, so you don't have to fill the silence with whistling." I tried to play it off like a joke, but I knew she'd probably see through it and get annoyed again. She didn't even turn to face me, just huffed and kept cooking. After a minute, I told her I was sorry about the other night, but the whistling just sort of strikes my ear wrong, and if she could just try not to whistle so much and so loudly, it would make my life a lot easier. I feel like I was being fair. I know it seems controlling and nitpicky, but it was bothering me a lot. We all have our things, you know? I try not to chew loudly at the table because it bothers her, so why can't she just stop whistling sometimes for me? But she totally freaked out. She turned around and told me she wasn't whistling, and she didn't know what my problem was. At this point, I don't get why she was doing this. It obviously wasn't funny for either of us, and she seemed genuinely upset. I don't know why she kept provoking me. I asked her what her deal was, why she was so defensive about the stupid whistling, and she told me to shut up. She told me she was sick of talking about it, like I was the one who was being unreasonable. I never get mad at her, but I just snapped. I told her to stop whistling before I lost my mind. She called me crazy just because I was getting a little upset, and somehow that was all I could take. I grabbed one of the cast iron pans from the stove and swung it at her head as hard as it could. She fell over and smashed her head on the counter, but I swung the pan again before she hit the ground. I think I hit her 3 or 4 times, I don't remember. I feel horrible. There was blood everywhere, and her jaw might be broken. No, it is for sure. I couldn't believe I lost my temper like that. I have no idea how I can move past this. I'm so ashamed for letting things get physical, regardless of how much she might have been provoking me. But here's the kicker. She's still fucking whistling. And I asked her nicely to please stop, but now she won't even fucking pause. For 2 days she's been lying on the kitchen floor with her eyes rolled back and her mouth hanging open, just marinating in congealed blood, and she's still fucking whistling. I don't know what to do. I don't want to break up, but this is too much. I just need her to shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up. I'm crazy. Nice. I like the schizo ones. I like the crazy ones. I think they're kind of fun. Thanks for the chills. How'd I do? Did I do okay? Was that good? Were you scared? Do you, since, Moon. Wait. Is it Minjun? Minjun? If you go to my Discord, and you go to we're posting them in reading recommendations. You do need a sub to get into that channel, but that's what we're doing it. So if you want to read anything, you're good at the voice acting? Thank you. I'm practicing. Were people scared? Are you guys scared? Did I scare you? Am I scary? Oh. Hi, practicing. I'm Dad. Shut up! I don't know how to scream. I'm not much of a yeller. Yeah, let's do another one. I'm having fun now. I'm having fun. I don't know. You guys linked me a bunch. Which one should I read? More Skinwalker shit? Another Skinwalker? You done writing now, Lumi? Okay, Wenham sent me one. Let's read another Skinwalker one, then we'll read Wenham's. Do you want to scare us? Kind of? I kind of want to scare you. Alright, this is in... I like the old Reddit link. These are Reddit links. Alright. Reddit No Sleep is like stories that you kind of post as real life stories, so it's gonna be in kind of a list format, if you guys don't mind. Should I do an accent? Are you scaring yourself? I'm scaring myself. In the middle of that story, I looked behind me because I was like, help. Hey, we should do some writing prompts. Annie, send me some good writing prompt ones. Or anyone, actually. If you guys have, like, a good writing prompt one. Alright. I love the writing prompts one. Yeah, let me read this one. Let's do an accent. I'm a search and rescue officer for the U.S. Forest Service, and I have some stories to tell. I wasn't sure where else to put these stories, so I figured I'd share them here. I've been a SAR officer for a few years now, and along the way, I've seen some strange things that I think you guys would be interested in. I have a pretty good track record for finding missing people. Most of the time, they just wander off the path, or slip down a small cliff, and they can't find their way back. The majority of them have heard the old stay where you are thing, and they don't wander far. But I've had 2 cases where that didn't happen. Both bother me a lot, and I use them as motivation to search even harder on the missing persons cases I get called on. The first was a little boy who was out berry picking with his parents. He and his sister were together, and both of them went missing around the same time. Their parents lost sight of them for a few seconds, and in that time, both the kids apparently wandered off. When their parents couldn't find them, they called us. And we came out to search the area. We found the daughter pretty quickly, and when we asked where her brother was, she told us that he'd been taken away by the bear man. She said he gave her berries and told her to stay quiet, that he wanted to play with her brother for a while. The last she saw of her brother, he was riding on the shoulders of the bear man and seemed calm. Of course, our first thought was abduction, but we never found the trace of another human being in that area. The little girl was also insistent that he wasn't a normal man, but that he was tall and covered in hair, like a bear. And that he had a weird face. We searched that area for weeks. It was one of the longest calls I'd ever been on, but we never found a single trace of that kid. The other was a young woman who'd been out hiking with her mom and grandpa. According to her mother, her daughter had climbed up a tree to get a better view of the forest, and she'd never come back down. They waited at the base of the tree for hours, calling her name, before they called for help. Again, we searched everywhere, and we never found a trace of her. I have no idea where she could have possibly have gone, because neither her nor her mother or grandpa saw her come down. A few times, I've been out on my own while searching with a canine, and they've tried to lead me up straight into the cliffs. Not hills, not even rock faces, straight sheer cliffs with no possible handholds. It's always baffling. In those cases, we usually find the person on the other side of the cliff or miles away from where the canine has led us. I'm sure there's an explanation, but it's sort of strange. One particularly sad case involved the recovery of a body. A 9-year-old girl fell down an embankment and got impaled on a dead tree at the base. It was a complete freak accident, but I'll never forget the sound her mother made when we told her what had happened. She saw the body bag being loaded into the ambulance, and she let out the most haunting, heartbroken wail I'd ever heard. It was like her whole life was crashing down on her, and a part of her had died with her daughter. I heard from another SAR officer that she killed herself a few weeks after it happened. She couldn't live with the loss of her daughter. I was teamed up with another SAR officer because we'd received reports of bears in the area on another story. We were looking for a guy who hadn't come home from a climbing trip when he was supposed to, and we ended up having to do some serious climbing to get up to where we figured he'd be. We found him trapped in a small crevasse with a broken leg. It was not pleasant. He'd been there for almost 2 days, and his leg was very obviously infected. We were able to get him into a chopper, and I heard from one of the EMTs that the guy was absolutely inconsolable. He kept talking about how he'd been doing fine, and when he'd gotten to the top, a man had been there. He said the guy had no camping equipment, no climbing gear, and he was wearing a parka and ski pants. He walked up to the guy, and when the guy turned around, he said he had no face. It was just blank. He freaked out and ended up trying to get off the mountain too fast, which is why he'd fallen. He said he could hear the guy all night climbing down the mountain and letting out these horrible, muffled screams. That story bothered the hell out of me. I'm glad I wasn't there to hear it. One of the scariest things that had ever happened to me involved the search for a young woman who'd gotten separated from her hiking group. We were out until late at night because the dogs had picked up her scent. When we found her, she was curled up under a large rotted log. She was missing her shoes and pack, and she was clearly in shock. She didn't have any injuries, and we were able to get her to walk back with us on the base ops. Along the way, she kept looking behind us and asking why that big man with black eyes was following us. We couldn't see anyone, so we just wrote it off as some weird symptom of shock, but the closer we got to base, the more agitated this woman got. She kept asking me to tell him to make him stop making faces at her. At one point, she stopped and turned around and started yelling into the forest, saying that she wanted him to leave her alone. She wasn't going to go with him, she said, and she wouldn't give him to us. We finally got her to keep moving. We started hearing these weird noises coming from all around us. It was almost like coughing, but more rhythmic and deeper. It was almost insect-like. I don't really know how else to describe it. When we were within the sight of base ops, the woman turns to me, and her eyes are about as wide as I can imagine a human being can open them. She touches my shoulder and says, "He tells you to speed up. He doesn't like looking at the scar on your neck." I have a very small scar on the base of my neck, but it's mostly hidden under my collar, and I have no idea how this woman saw it. Right after she says it, I hear that weird coughing right in my ear, and I just about jumped out of my skin. I hustled her to the ops, trying not to show her how freaked out I was, but I have to say, I was really happy when we left that area that night. This is the last one I'll tell, and it's probably the weirdest story I have. Now, I don't know if this is true in every SAR unit, but in mine, it's sort of an unspoken regular thing we run into. You can try asking about it with other SAR officers. But even if they know what you're talking about, they probably won't say anything about it. We've been told not to talk about it by our superiors. They probably won't say anything about it. And at this point, we've all gotten so used to it that it doesn't even seem weird anymore. On just about every case when we're really far into the wilderness, I'm talking 30 or 40 miles, at some point, we'll find a staircase in the middle of the woods. It's almost like if you took the stairs in your house, cut them out, and then put them in the forest. I talked about it the first time I saw some, and some other officer just told me not to worry about it. That it was normal. Everyone I asked said the same thing. I wanted to go check them out, but I was told very empathetically that I should never go near any of them. I just sort of ignore them now and then when I run into them, because it happens so frequently. I have lots more stories, and I suppose if anyone's interested, I'll tell some of them tomorrow. If anyone has theories about the stairs, or if you've seen them too, let me know. Ugh. I had to look behind me. I'm very uncomfortable. I do not like that. I do not like that. I do not like these scary stories. They're terrible. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. It started raining. Oh god, I hate these. They're so scary. What the hell? They actually released 9 parts and the book. Crazy. Shit. It's been almost 2 hours. Is everyone scared? Should I do one more? Hope you like mine. Oh, I said I'd read Wenham's. Did you write this one? Wenham, why does this end with green? No. Wenham? Is this a shitpost? Wenham, did you send me a fucking shitpost? You did. You sent me a shitpost, everyone. He sent me a fucking shitpost. Oil rig in the North Sea. Alright, I want to read that one. Let's find that one. I'm not reading a shitpost. It's Scary Story Day. Yeah, I read the ending. We'll read it on a shitpost day, okay? And another day. We'll read it another time. Alright. This one is 3 parts long. It's a little bit long. We'll see how we feel. It's long. It's okay. It's good. Don't fuck off, Lumi. Okay, put it in the fucking reading recommendations. Alright, this one is called I work on an oil rig in the North Sea. They're keeping something hidden beneath the waves. Gonna go before I get emotionally invested, but there's one more story, Riv. You can listen in bed with Star. Just have Star next to you. I'm reading a story. Thank you for the sub. Thank you for the sub, Bakuro. Did I miss any other subs? Probably. Alright, let's read this last one. And then we'll just let me know if you guys like story time. I don't usually do this. This is kind of new for me. Alright. Good night, Riv. Good night, Star. Alright. Oh, wait. Let's find an ocean sound because we're on the ocean now. I don't want to give anyone depression. Let's find waves. Yeah, how's that? Oh yeah. Let's have shore noise. Perfect. Okay. Very immersive. Suddenly it's cold and it's raining. Alright, let's read it. The great chain grinds. Its monstrous metallic howl reverberates through the platform that I stand upon with shaking legs. The chain is moving. There's no doubt about it. Something is pulling it slowly beneath the surface. I can see a section unraveling, and the beams of passing searchlights wash off the shine of its gold. Oh. I watch as it feeds reluctantly through a series of monstrous gears from an adjacent, slightly smaller tower. Is it a bit loud? Is it... Make it a little quieter? Yeah. The captain is still shouting into my face. The rain and the beams of passing searchlights wash off the shine of his gold-black visor. His words eventually start to break through the wail of the siren and the rush of the waves and into my petrified daze. Reg! Reg! It's Reg, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. The captain's eyes flash and he nods, drawing back a little. Look to the right of the tower, Reg. Just behind. You see that gray cylinder? I do. Waves of the siren's orange and blue light roll across it again and again. Yeah, I see it. The reservoir, right? For the hydraulics. The captain laughs out loud, a disturbing and ludicrous sound amongst the tumultuous, relentless chaos. Smashing, he says, clasping a rough and heavy hand on my shoulder. And you feel your feet on the ground? You have your bearings? Yes, Captain. Brilliant! We'll give him an accent. That's your station, old chap. Off you go, on the double. He tips his cap and strides off across the platform back to his ship. I watch him go for a second. Then I feel the blood return to my leg. Let's go, Rag! They're counting on you! I hear from behind. Yes! Right! This is my assignment. Here we go! Here we go. My feet splash across the surface of the platform as I head for the nearest metal mesh stairs, fastening in the hard hat that I'd been rudely gifted onto my head. The entire ground is like a rippling mirror, illuminated in flashes of white, of blue, and of orange. As soldiers sprint past me in formation, their shimmering reflections below run with them, distorted by sheets of rain. Thank you, Ducky, for 5 months. My hand slips right off the watery rail as I ascend. I stumble past my fellow workers. I've already lost sight of the 6 I arrived with. They could be anywhere by now. I cross the bridge over to the reservoir. I can see the pipes and the tubes, the hydraulic cylinders. Not quite the same as the ones back on my own rig, but similar enough. A sudden crunch from behind has me swear in fear and swivel at once. And through the iron cage of the tower, the massive chain suddenly jolts down, an entire van-sized link, disappearing out of sight and into the shadows below. Good Christ, what the hell is this place? I mutter breathlessly, cold rain streaking down my face. I fight my way through the storm to the cylinders. There's a team of about 9 or 10, difficult to tell, all swarming around the pumps and control valves. A guy in goggles looks over to me. Hydraulics, he calls through the rain. A great boom of thunder shivers through the sky to accompany the scream of the siren. Fuck. Yeah, I think that's me, I call back. The goggled man nods and points me to a section of the cylinder. Open that fucker up! See if it's working! Quick as you can, mate! Jesus. I push through the bustle of my new comrades, adrenaline pumping, and I turn to hastily look through a box of tools for the equipment I'll need to remove the covering. A searchlight beam from afar scans my immediate surroundings, and I catch a flash of a blue coat thrown about in the wind as its owner passes me by, crossing from an opposite bridge. It's the guy the captain was talking to earlier on the loading platform. I turn to look up at him, drill in hand. It's embarrassing is what it is, the man in the blue coat says to the officer at his right as he strides past. He stands tall and walks with grim purpose. 4th siren tonight. Is this a piss take? This is the kind of shoddy control I'd expect over on the Danish rig, not on the bloody UK, eh? Commander! The goggle man shouts, rain flying from his lips as he stands up straight, and the commander tips his hat to him in return. Status? The commander bellows, back rigid and hands quickly clasped behind his back as the wind drags his coat about his shoulders. I don't have a good look at his face, but I can see a thick white beard whipped around his jaw. No issues here, Commander, Goggles replies. Hydraulics understood, to be clear. Fuck's sake, the commander mutters, casting an eye shrouded in shadow from his visor over my new colleagues. And what the hell is the problem here? Too much slack on the chain? He turns to the officer on his right. Find out what UKB and the Norwegians are up to. The amount of times I've had to tell no rig to sharpen this shit out this month, bollocks to it. Let's bring this fucker under control. I don't want to deal with another 5th siren tonight. The commander and his entourage clatter their way across the bridge. I watch him raise an arm and gesture angrily to the groaning chain, looking like a little toy soldier beside it as they pass by. We work through the night. The rain eventually begins to fall back into a more bearable drizzle. The sea calms and starts to settle. The waves against the rig's legs grow decreasingly violent, and the siren mercifully cuts out. The chain, too, is steadily, brutally hauled back through the tower and mechanically re-raveled. Like a fool, I'd expected my shift to end here, for me to be allowed some desperately needed rest. But I was mistaken. My shift continued on through the night. It turned out that there had been a minor fault with the hydraulic systems after all, but since the siren had ceased, we couldn't work out if this particular malfunction had been responsible or not. We agreed collectively not to mention it. It was not until the silvery light through the clouds above suggested that the sun had risen that I was dismissed. Like a zombie, I marched to my assigned dorm and collapsed onto a narrow bed against the wall and fell at once into a welcome and total sleep. I was the first to awaken. My bunkmates were all still snoring away. I rub my eyes and bring my legs over to the side of the bed, gently cracking the joints of my arms and my back. A clock on the walls tells me it's 12:20 p.m. 5 hours of sleep. Great. I run a hand on my face, but I actually don't feel too bad. A piece of paper taped to the wall below the clock tells me that Hydraulics Team B are expected to return to work at 1:30 p.m. I'm assuming that this one's mine, based on the accompanying time that we were dismissed. Someone has scrawled across the paper in pencil in the margin. It's today's date, along with Commander's Orientation, 13:15. I quietly opened the door, and after a quick splash of water to the face, a change of clothes, and an admittedly rather gross brush with a borrowed toothbrush, I decide to use my spare hour to look around the rig. The weather's calmed, and while the sun is not exactly shining, it's pleasant enough for now. Oh wait, let's take the waves down. There's no more waves, everyone. No rain. There we go. Alright. It's... sorry. This one is extremely long shit. The weather has... it's remarkably easy to tell which workers on the rig are new arrivals and which have been here for longer. You can see it in the lines of their faces, in their eyes and expressions, the way they carry themselves. The soldiers, however, are unreadable. I ponder their purpose as I make my way through the inner corridors of the rig's hub. If you walk like you have a clear direction in mind, you typically won't be bothered, I found. I'm intrigued by what appears to be a small library nested within the walls. A cluster of shabby bookshelves hold a range of battered books. There's some maps here, too, of the North Sea and of the rig itself, taped to the wall. It's as I'm studying one of these maps when something catches my eye. A word deliberately scratched into the metal of the wall alongside. It's not obvious, but now that I've seen it, I can read it as clear as day. Figs, it says. Figs. A brief but sharp surge of adrenaline passes through me. Could this have been carved by Figs himself? By my friend? The very friend who was selected as one of the 7 for this rig the last time? It must have been, surely. Knowing that he was here sets me grinning, and I shake my head in disbelief. Why would he carve his name into this wall? I look around the room. I undo the tape on the adjacent poster and peel it back. There's nothing but blank wall behind. After a moment of consideration, I grab a hold of the little bookshelf directly below the scrawling and grunt with effort as I push it to the side. And sure enough, hidden behind against the wall are a series of further carvings. I'm not sure why, but I feel compelled to shut the door to the library room, so I do so before squatting down to study what's been written. There's a number carved here, 41-1-34. A date, perhaps? Not like any date I've ever seen. Maybe it's a military system I'm not familiar with. There's also a drawing, a crude one. It looks like a little square, about to be devoured from beneath by a larger, bizarrely Pac-Man-esque shape. Or half of him, at least. A semicircle with a split for an open jaw. It's literally just a bunch of lines carved into the metal, but it unsettles me in a way I can't explain. Next to this drawing is the phrase, "Don't trust Potter," in capital letters. Potter. Who the hell is Potter? The sounds of footsteps in the corridor beyond bid me grab the bookshelf and quickly drag it back into place. Workers push through the door, and I nod to them upon my exit before they have a chance to ask me what I was doing. 41-1-34. Don't trust Potter. a drawing of a semicircle and a square. They all mean something. I'm sure of it. Biggs left them behind. I know he did. With only 10 or so minutes left until the scheduled briefing by the commander, I decide to dwell on my findings on the rig's largest brigade and an excellent vantage point of the views of the surrounding sea. I can see a few battleships dotted around the distance from here. One of them could well be the destroyer belonging to Captain Irons. I can also see another 2 rigs like this one spread out in the distance, and if I squint, I can just about make through the rough form of a third, far against the grim horizon. There's a guy stood nearby eating a sandwich. First person I've seen since arrival, not actively engaged in a task of some kind. He seems in decent spirits, but his eyes are glazed and tired. He nods at me, and I nod back, and then he gestures to the faraway rig with his sandwich. That's the Norwegian rig, he mumbles. N-O rig, they call it. I reply, I'm not sure what else to say. My name's Reg. Nice to meet you, mate. He replies. You too, pal. Dan. Anything you can tell me about the chain, Dan? What chain? He asks, and I furrow my brow in confusion. I'm about to gesture to the colossal metal links held in the tower when he chuckles at me. I'm just screwing with you, mate. I know what you mean, but I don't have any answers for you, I'm afraid. No bloody clue. They're keeping something locked down there. That's all I know. It moves with the storms. He looks out to the sea. And it's always stormy here. You been here long? 10 days. I'll be done in another 4. Second time they've assigned me to this rig. To my surprise, I feel a flood of relief. So people do come back from the rig then. And of course they do. The idea that they wouldn't. I silently brand myself a fool. Of course people move on from here. Why wouldn't they? Second time, I ask? How long was your first shift? 5 days. They kept trebling your pay with every subsequent return, apparently. He takes another bite and chews thoughtfully. And a man needs it. So, what's up with the military presence? He shrugs. Who knows? Keeps the Russians away, perhaps? Whatever they're up to here, it's important shit, clearly. I mean, look at all this. A trio of helicopters flies overhead as he spreads out his arms. I watch them pass. Yeah, maybe. I shift on the spot and think about what I saw scrawled on the wall. Would it be unwise to bring it up to this guy? To Dan? Screw it. You know of anyone called Potter, Dan? He gives me a strange look and pauses. No, he replies. Can't say that I do. Though I only work on the uppermost deck, so my pool of acquaintances is relatively small. The military police here are nicknamed the Plodders, though, if that's any meaning. No, but thanks anyway. He eyes me again, his expression changing, and he stands up straight. You ask a lot of questions. You ask a lot of questions, Reg. To be honest, I'm wondering what you're even doing here. They don't normally send blokes like you, not in my experience. I laugh awkwardly, but Dan doesn't return the laughter. He just holds my gaze for a tense moment, then shrugs and looks back out to sea. I breathe. I guess your skills are just in demand right now, he muses. Realizing it's time, I thank the guy for his conversation and head down to the briefing by the commander. I'm cutting it fine, but thankfully, I'm not the last to arrive. He doesn't say much, really. Just gruffly goes over some basic logistics, highlights the important duties for the day, and officially welcomes us to the rig. It's not a particularly cheery welcome. Nor is it particularly interesting. He mentions that, we'll all be subject to a lengthy debrief in Norway upon the end of our service, and then there's something else he says. Something that stands out. Something that I dwell on well to the day. Whatever you may hear, he says, scanning the room, one eye bright and shining like polished brass, the other blinded, a scarred white-gray. Whatever you may see, it's suggested that you push that shit aside and leave it for the debrief. I would remind you that the British government takes dissension from the Official Secrets Act very seriously. Very fucking seriously indeed. His eyes meet mine. As do I. And I'm worse than those fuckers in London, I can assure you. The tension holds in the air, still, thick and heavy. Then it breaks away like ice with a sudden clap. The commander nods and gestures to the door, and it's clear the meeting is over. I think we're about halfway. My day is uneventful. I learn little else and make no mental progress on the mysterious scrawlings, presumably left by Figs himself. My shifts are broken up into 6 hours on, 6 hours off. Rough. And it's nighttime when it gets rougher. The rains return. Let's get the rain up 1 second. More rain. Can you hear the wind rumbling? The swirl and seethe of the storm, as if it's angry about the rig's very presence in its waters. I shiver as I check the lights on the enormous control valve before me. The tension is now palpable, far beyond anything I experienced in the commander's briefing. This is something else. All teeth are set, every pair of eyes itching to glance up at the silent siren, soldiers and workers alike all on edge, waiting, praying that the siren doesn't go off. The impending potential shattering to pieces, perhaps worse than the shattering itself. And eventually, of course, it does. The siren cuts through me like a knife, and the world of metal around is cast in glows of orange and blue, all along the bridges, the rails, the metalwork, and the gears, and the multitude of platforms, and the giant, towering derrick skeleton, and the chain groaning inside. The chaos returns. It's stressful beyond words, but the problem, wherever it came from, is, after 15 minutes or so, fixed. And the siren stops. We breathe a collective sigh of relief as the brutal orchestra of our tempestuous domain cuts us some slack. For a while. Because after another hour, it sounds again. And then after that, it sounds again. I feel sick. This is relentless. Is this why they were so desperate to get us here? Because the previous crew were literally fit to collapse? This time, the siren doesn't stop. It just keeps on wailing, screaming its distress into the night. Fuck. It's so fucking loud. The frustration we feel grows into anger. Anger which quickly breaks down into shivering nerves and then melts further into cold fear. Why won't it stop? Where's the commander? The guy in charge of our section, Goggles as I nicknamed him, removes his helmet and runs a hand through his hair. Again, he shouts. Check through it all again. Have we missed anything? The chain jolts. To my horror, it swings slowly to the side and crashes into the side of the metal tower that contains it, the vibrations of the shock thundering through the entire rig. Oh, hell! Goggles bellows in dismay. Where's the fucking commander? And then there's another noise. A boom that ripples through the air from the distance. I rise on shaking legs and lean over the rails, looking through the rain out to the sea. A warship of some kind, closer than before but still a ways away, is firing upon the churning waves. Its turrets light up in brilliant white, and then half a second later, they're followed by the booms and the rattle of fire. There's something in the sea. More ships are coming round through the haze, and I can see them. I can see their lights, and the water between them shifts and swells in ways that don't make sense. The dark water, the waves rise colossal. I wipe the rain from my eyes. I can't quite make it out. And I realize everyone is distracted. Distracted by the light show at sea. The workers have shifted away from their stations. I can see all around. If I'm going to look for answers, the time is now. So I seize the moment, and with a quick look behind, I sprint away from the shadows of the rails, keeping my head low, and I make a brisk pace down the shuddering stairs. I cross the platform, trying to look like someone who has a clear goal in mind, and I'm about to push through the central hub of the rig when 4 helicopters fly out overhead. My mouth drops. To fly in this? They must be insane. But they're carrying something. Between the 4 of them, they're carrying a length of the colossal chain, the same type as held in the tower, and weighed down at either end by what I'm presuming must be massive, gargantuan anchors. I know I shouldn't be wasting my time, my moment, but I can't help but watch as they fly out to sea, illuminated by the fleetingly in the glare of the warship fire. And then they hover in place as much as they can given the weather, and the chain is released. It drops down through the dark towards the swirling sea and smacks into the surface with a crash, the spray slow and massive as the iron sinks. Blood pumping, I turn and push into the hub. The map I saw in the library I recreate as best I can in my mind as I orient myself. I head to the staff quarters, the officers. I march with purpose past the groups of huddled soldiers, careful not to make eye contact, and at the end of the corridor, I find what I'm looking for. The map in the library had it marked only as a door with no room beyond. That was impossible. And sure enough, there's a room here, shrouded in darkness. Filing cabinets line the walls. There's a desk attached too, empty except for a bottle of vitamin D tablets. But this is good. Filing cabinets. Personnel files in here, perhaps? Maybe I can find information on Potter, or about the chain. I know I'm an idiot. Most would just take the money, keep themselves to themselves, and go home. That's presumably why they get selected, but I'm just not one of them. I'm just not. I run a hand over the cabinets. All locked, of course. Curious steel padlocks are attached to each and every door, all in the pattern of 00, 0, 0, 0. A light bulb goes on in my head. I recognize that pattern. It's the same number as the one Figs wrote on the wall. 41, 1, 34. Alright, fuck it, I muttered to myself, cracking my knuckles before setting to work, starting with the padlock number 1 and working my way down, then across. Don't fail me now, Figs. I work fast, and I can't be more than a few minutes, but the time feels like it drags on. I'm expecting to be rumbled at any second, some officer to barge in and arrest me, but they don't. And on cabinet number 7, the padlock snaps open. Ah! I grunt with desperate glee, dragging the door open and rifling through the folders and files within. I grab a handful of them and drop onto the desk, flipping them open and trying to absorb as much as I can. I don't really want to stick around. Frustratingly, the files aren't arranged alphabetically. There doesn't even seem to be any coherent order at all. There's pages and pages of reports, some with notes scrawled across in pen or black redacted bars stamped on them. All drilling operations at Site ARSKINE3 to cease immediately. Report to Commander R. Cleese, December 1986. I flip through another. I'm careful not to let the rainwater drip from my face onto the paper. Urgent. Redirection of UK nuclear program Trident. Budget to Arskine 3 Discovery. 17 to 18% recommended. Pending. January 1987. I don't have time to take in all the text. I just absorb what I can. Personnel to be assigned to new rigs UKA and UKB for no longer than periods of 2 weeks maximum. Standardization with Norwegian and Danish rigs NO plus DA recommended. Greater personnel numbers suggested during winter months. Entity's true nature to remain at the highest level of classification. I expel a breath from my air from my lungs in a cold An unwelcome burst. Entity? Entity? I lift the file up towards the room's sole light source. It flickers as the wind howls outside and the siren blares. A scrap of torn brown paper falls from amidst the file and lands on the desk. My heart pounds as I pick it up and read it through. It's a segment of a poem, handwritten in fine ink. Alfred Lord Tennyson, 1830, it says at the top. Below the thunders of the upper deep, far beneath the abysmal sea, his ancient, dreamless, uninvaded sleep. The paper is torn, and the poem ends there. It's almost like I'm watching myself from above as I stuff the papers back into the file with pink-tipped and trembling fingers, as I slam them back into the cabinet and remix the combination on the lock, and stride, pale-faced, stomach lurching, back through the corridors. I realize I've made a terrible mistake. I should never have agreed to make the voyage here. I should never have signed the Secrets Act, and I should never have allowed myself to get caught up in this madness. The entity's true nature. The entity. Don't panic, is all I can tell myself as I return into the storm. The rain batters, renewed against my head and my back, as the lightning flashes, and as a terrible alien roar sounds out over the sea. It stops me in my tracks. It is by far the worst sound I have heard since my arrival, and I've been privy to a great many disturbing sounds. It echoes out over the writhing waters and up into the swirls of the sky, and a great jarring force from below suddenly throws me to the ground. I slip across the surface of the platform, scrambling up onto my elbows, barely able to believe my eyes as the edge of a huge iron wheel is forced up against the far side of the rig from beneath. I watch as it smashes into a crane, one which promptly disconnects from the rig with the sound of tearing metal and crashes down, down into the churning sea. The chain grinds against the tower. All around me now is pure panic. And with the cataclysmic clash, I am powerless to do anything but watch, as the great chain wins the struggle and smashes through the side of the skeleton tower in a shower of broken metal. It tears through the edge of the rig. It swings around me, and it brings with it the enormous wheel from below, dragged around the edge of the cracked far platform. And my screams become one with those of the siren. Whew, jeez. That's a really long story. Ooh, the part 3 is long too. Shit. Nice, thank you. Hey Lumi, hey Zuni. Hi Zuni. Ooh, I need water, 1 second. That was kind of fun. You're really good at this? Thank you. I don't know how you guys actually felt about it. Do you guys enjoy it? Is this an enjoyable thing to do? Like, is it fun? Is it weird? Thank you for the follow. I'm liking it. It's a long story, but boy, is the ending great. Maybe we'll read it another time. I love this. I don't usually do this kind of thing. I'm usually more of like a gamer, so it's pretty fun and a little scary. Some of the Skinwalker ones really get me. I guess if we have like scarier stories, I would be more into it, but I feel like maybe I'm not scared enough. But again, what did you think about it? It's fun to try new things. I got a bit lost, but your voice is really enjoyable. Thank you. Yeah, it's fun to do the voice acting stuff, I think. I think it's not my usual thing, so I'm not really sure how to do like I don't know. I wanted to do it maybe once a week, but yeah, I think audience-wise, and maybe it doesn't fit. That's why I wanted to do it after like midnight, you know? Because usually I stream at 7 EST. So I was like, oh, I'll have my normal stuff at 7 and then... Yeah, people aren't really here for stories. People are here for like high energy banter and me shitting on people. I mean, it's still kind of fun to try. It's kind of fun to try. If you know what I mean, like, yeah, maybe once every 2 weeks. How about this? If you guys submit enough scary stories, I'll do it once every 2 weeks for people who are really interested. Yeah? I think it's interesting for sure. It's just different from what I usually do. I'm kind of talking myself to sleep a bit, if I'm being honest. I just talk non-stop for 2.5 hours, basically. But I'm glad people enjoy it. It's different. It's different. Sometimes it's fun to experiment, okay? It's different, and I try different things. That's what we do here. I don't know. How about you guys let me know? I have a constructive criticism channel. If you guys liked it, let me know. Yeah, it's good to try. It's just fun to try stuff. Let me know what you guys think in constructive criticism. If you guys like it, we'll continue it maybe once every 2 weeks. If you guys don't like it, we don't have to do it. Seems like some people are happy. Experimenting is fun. Yeah, I like experimenting. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of fun. I hope you guys liked my immersive music. My very immersive music. I really like listening to waves. I love the ocean. Did you know there are studies about how humans actually are drawn to water and sounds of water and the blue? There's a book about it. Humans and the water. It's psychological. It's like it's related to like natal stuff. No. I'm not gonna do anymore. Ocean is scary. There's been studies conducted on human response to being near water. I don't know. If people are interested in that kind of thing, there's definitely a correlation. If you're near water, you hear water sounds, there's like a mood shift. Humans have a love-hate relationship with the ocean. It's strange, you know, because we come from the water. It's something about, I think, while you're being carried, I guess, you're in water, aren't you? And so it feels almost natural to go back to it. Yeah, womb noises. I think that's the study. There's a... Let me find the book. Let me see if I can find the book. Got some soft piano music on there. The blue... Let me see. Psychology, humans, and the ocean. I think people just love water. Neuroconservation, your brain on the ocean. Science explain what the beach does to your brain. There's definitely something. Like they did EEG scans and stuff. And there's definitely something that... Oh, it's called the blue mind. It's called the blue mind. The phenomenon is called the... I think it's called the blue mind. Sorry, that's the book. It's about why humans are drawn to the water. Kind of cool. I like psychology stuff like that sometimes. It's kind of fun. Sound of the waves has always been relaxing, especially if you imagine how you're sitting on the shore. I know a lot of people have thalassophobia, but you can still enjoy rain and stuff, and that's kind of interesting, right? How much we enjoy water. Here's a review. It's funny, you know, because if you look into it, there's also studies on... So there's the blue mind, which is a phenomenon. It's humans and water. There's also biophilia, which is humans and plants. Because there's definitely increased cognitive function when you look at plants. They did a study in one of the Scandinavian countries where they had kids, like kindergarten kids, go out for an hour or something to be in nature, and then they would come back and have increased cognitive activity and stuff. Also, if you put plants in hospitals and that kind of thing, you actually recover a little bit faster. Also, there's even a study on humans and natural shapes versus unnatural shapes. I'm talking about squares, right? You know why you don't like being in hospitals? Because it's very rigid. There's no curves in it. And that's maybe why some people really like being in nature, because there's organic shapes out there. I've heard of isolation tanks, yeah. I don't think I would personally enjoy it. I hate how clean hospitals are natural. Yeah, it's just devoid of life, isn't it? I think that's why we like plants so much. Reject square, return to circle. It's not just circle. There's been a recent trend in interior design, if you pay attention, which is the kind of like natural table, which is just a piece of wood that's cut through with all of like the wood grooves and stuff. And it's curious as to why that caught on, but I think because there's an over-civilization of... Maybe not that. An over-urbanization or an over-sterilization of everything. They're kind of going back to that rustic look. It's interesting because... Sorry, I'm going on about topics. Let me know if I'm getting too nerdy. I was kind of curious about it. If you think about it, with the rise of IKEA, and this is 100% serious, with the rise of IKEA and Scandinavian minimalism, right? Scandinavian minimalism was a thing, right? You just buy simple shapes, they're very square. It was huge for a few years, and then suddenly it's like almost like a snapback from this kind of clean, sterile, minimalistic lifestyle. Thank you for the follow. Back to an even further... It's like you're going even further back. Minimalism was a movement, wasn't it? But it was almost too sterile, so instead of minimalism, we went back to just straight up naturalism. And I think that's a study on its own. I read this one paper once, it was about wildness versus wilderness, which was really interesting because it compared... Sorry. It compared wilderness, which is like the outdoors, right? Wilderness we associate with the outdoors, but what is wildness? You never hear that word, do you? Wildness is our conception of wilderness, and the return to kind of like going back to, like, why do you think people always want to go to the countryside as a vacation home? Do people vacation in the city? Not really. You vacation out in the country, right? It's like the fantasy of it. It's always been like this great human kind of goal to vacation out in like the woods and have a retreat and that kind of thing. And it's this return to wildness that I thought was really interesting because, no, I don't like being in the wilderness. But wildness is something that I accept. It's interesting to think about. I have to dig up that article. I've looked for years. I read it like 5 years ago and then I totally forgot about it and I'm like, there is something calming to be about in nature. Yeah, I mean, it's scientifically proven at this point that biophilia is it's really good on your mental and physical state. And then the blue mind thing, I think, was a little bit more recent, but it was just the human kind of... Is the word proclivity? God. To be around water. It's funny how minimalism in music is the exact opposite in a way. I mean, I'm listening to lo-fi right now. There are people who can find kind of peace in the noise, I suppose, if you listen to anything harder. Proclivity. Inclination. It's like a human proclivity to be around nature always, isn't there? Even me, and I really like cities. But even when I lived in some of the hugest cities, I always kept plants around. I'm like... I mean, people like different things, but if you go to Central Park in the summer, it's just covered in people because they want to touch all the grass. It's interesting, isn't it? Kind of reminds me of a class I had recently where they talked about symbols humans love giving meaning to stuff. Yeah. I mean, I think it's human nature to kind of associate, right? The power to associate and the imagination of it is what makes us... is what helped us understand the world better. I mean, even me, right? I've never talked about synesthesia super, fully on stream. If you guys... I'm sure... I feel like a lot of you guys aren't... like, haven't been here for super long. I have synesthesia. I see colors when people talk, and I hear sounds and stuff. And it's... all it really is a kind of overactive... association in my brain. And I think people always get really excited because they're like, oh my god, you see colors, that's so unique, that's so weird. But it's kind of just like, I wanted to see more, I suppose, and my brain wanted to see more, and it was like, haha. Now you can have seizures when you listen to anything too loud. And I was like, thanks. So, I mean, it's not all good, but it's kind of cool. I mean, minimalism in the musical movement like Glass, Adams, Reich, Pot... Glass is good, though. Glass is quite good. Yeah. I don't know. Green cross map is a little extra... yeah, it's just a little bit extra wired, that's all. But it's cool. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of things that are kind of cool. People wish to escape the harsh things in the modern world, which can be associated with the things like cities or a more dense population. You know, I think that's true. I mean, if you've ever read that terrible Henry David Thoreau book, whatever that was, that I hated. God, I read it and it was terrible. It's this kind of like... what's the word? It's not hive mind. It's like a collective wanting to go back to nature, isn't it? I mean, there's very few people who would prefer to live in a city all the time or have no inclinations to see plants. And I love cities. I still like water and stuff. No, I knew you were gonna say that one, because we talked about it earlier, but... when I was living in New York, I kept like 30 plants in my room. Like 30 to 50 plants at any given time. I had like real trees in there. I had a hawthorn tree. I had a wisteria tree. I was there because I loved the life of the city. And I love that. I love that I could feel kind of anonymous in it. I didn't have a peace lily. I was like really gardening. But I had like 30 to 50 plants all the time. Probably more of a stress issue. Oh, people don't live well with other people, and some just... yeah, I mean, I'm sure some people are wired differently, and I'm not really gonna be like, yeah, you have to endure this. Using plants as a coping mechanism for living in a city. Well, I had some really fucking amazing food, and I did cool things, and I never regret it for a second, and I had a great time. Even though it's been normalized, daily life with current technology, society, and expectations from it are an assault on the senses and the psyche that has wildly outpaced evolution. Rivy, I thought you were gonna lurk and be sleepy. I agree. I think it's not really surprising that depression and suicide rates are higher than before. I know people say that there's less to do, but it's also that things are harder to do and require more thought. Humans are meant for groups around 150 or so. I don't think so. We're philosophizing. God, I can't speak. I'm new here. I have a question. Yes, ask your question. Blech, I bit my tongue. Guys, this is getting pretentious as fuck. Sorry. I was just talking about nature and how much people like water. Let's go back to talking about water. We should do a deep sea tour one day. Does anyone have thalassophobia besides wyvern? Does anybody have I'm not a fan of water. Anyone else? Does anyone else have thalassophobia? Can we do a deep sea tour? We'll point out all the animals and we'll get really excited about it. We start on water and end on Sibia. Oh, what was the guy's question? Sorry, let me scroll up. Is this your actual voice, if you don't mind me asking? I talk higher than this usually. This is me being very soft. I usually talk like this. I'm more excited. I'm kind of making it softer. I don't know. Because they're kind of cozy. I probably sound like I'm a little bit sleepy. If I just wake up, I sound more like this. If I'm normally streaming, it's like a little bit brighter, probably. I don't want to ruin it, though. I think I just sound sleepy. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences has been a disaster for the human race. I'm afraid of open water, but I love the rain. Uh-oh, another one. I was just wondering, and it sounds adorable. Thank you. I got made fun of a lot, actually. a lot of my friends would make fun of me. They were like, "Lumi, why do you always talk so high?" Hi, Yukina. Well, it wasn't like bullying or anything. They would just be like, "Why do you talk so high?" And I'm like, "I don't know." This is how I talk. Sorry. I just get really excited about stuff, and then I'm like, "Yay!" Where are they at? Yukina! I saw you were streaming earlier today. I think I stopped by for a little bit, but I was kind of shy and I didn't want to. I was like scared to say hi. Oh, please check out Yukina. She's so cute. If I play some Nanako again, I will probably be fine, but my thalassophobia will persist. Anyway, how about next week at this... No. I want to do a tour next week. I'm going to put a poll on Discord so we can pick a place, but I'm going to learn a bunch of facts about a city and I'm going to take you guys on a tour. It's going to be great. It's going to be really cool. Nobody's traveling during COVID, so it's going to be fun. Tomorrow, I'm doing a deep dive on YouTube. I tried to stream Doom Eternal and I think my Xbox ain't feeling it for some reason, man. Just play on PC. When's the last time we streamed Doom Eternal, guys? It's been a while. Tomorrow we're doing a kind of YouTube nerd out, basically, where I try to figure out how telescopes work. I like to learn things. It might not all be about telescopes, but it'll be fun. You play Doom? Yeah. We finished Doom 2006. We finished regular Doom pretty easily, and then we were playing Doom Eternal. I haven't played it in a hot minute, but gotta finish that one. Can you expect the people? Oh, yeah, guys. Thanks, Jinx, for phrasing it so like, yes, Jinx. Used to play it so much. It's just because I went through the first game and I got really addicted. Do you play Skyrim? I've never played Skyrim. To be completely honest, I was always like, I've only been streaming for 6 months. But for a long time I was like, should I stream? And then a lot of the very typical stream games, I was like, oh, well, I can't play them. I guess I can't play this game. I have to save it for when I play. Or when I stream. So I've not played Skyrim. What else haven't I played? I haven't played XCOM. Guys, what else haven't I played? Literally everything. I haven't played anything. How have you not played any of the 11 different pieces of Skyrim? I have not played a single I have not played any GTA. No GTA, no Skyrim. No XCOM. What's another big series? No Persona 5. What else haven't I played? I played League a long time ago, but I don't think that counts. I did play Monster Hunter World. I did play that. No Apex. Yeah, you got it. I mostly played MMOs. That's where I was. Because they were free. You could play them for free. And you didn't have to pay money for them that I didn't have. So I played MMOs. Which MMOs did I play? Most recently, I didn't play Just Cause. I haven't played a single Just Cause. And honestly, I played Far Cry earlier with Yuri. That's the first Far Cry I've ever played. The last MMO I played was Lost Ark. I'm very excited for that one to finally release in NA. Before that, I played a lot of Black Desert. I haven't played Outer Wilds, no. I played Dead Space. Before, I played Black Desert Online for a long time. And then before that, I played a game called Continent of the Ninth, C9. I haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn, no. I swear to God, I haven't played God of War. I haven't played Devil May Cry. I haven't played Half-Life. I didn't even know Half-Life was a thing. I haven't played Horizon. No Final Fantasy. What is Metro? No, I've never played Half-Life before. Up until a month ago, I had also not played CSGO. I played one Call of Duty. Have you only played strategy games? Yeah, basically I only played like Civ and then MMOs. I'm not big onto story games is all. Like, I need good combat. Like, I've played every Dark Souls game. I played Bloodborne. I played so many Souls games and like action RPG, and I played all of the strategy games, and anything else I just did not play. Yeah. I'm sorry, I haven't played BioShock, no. I'm sorry, I've always been a PvPer. If there's no good like combat, I don't care. Why have you not played Final Fantasy? 'Cause the PvP's bad? There's no PvP in it? Have you played Fallout? I've never played Fallout. I've never played Dragon Ball Z. I've never played Heroes of Might and Magic. I've never played Mortal Kombat. I did play Blade and Soul, but it came out at the same time as Black Desert, so I played Black Desert over Blade and Soul. I did play a Street Fighter once, yeah. I played League like 5-10 years ago, maybe. Did you watch the MK movie? You know what? I might have. Did I play Terra Online? I did play Terra Online. I did. No, WoW. WoW, disgusting. Blech. I have never played Nier Automata. Never. I've played every Pokemon game. First Nier is... I've never played Nier. I don't play many JRPGs. Of all the MMOs you played, why did WoW disgust you? I don't like how people get sucked into WoW forever. I did not play some of the earliest Pokemons, but I have played almost every Pokemon since then. I did play Animal Crossing, yeah. Okay, you know what? Not Pokemon Conquest. I've played the main Pokemon game. Animal Crossing is very relaxing, and I'm more of like a Pokemon meta gamer, so I do the tournaments and stuff, and I IV train all my Pokemon. I'm one of those. Sorry, I'm really competitive. I have not played Mystery Dungeon. My favorite Pokemon's Emerald. I really liked Emerald too. That's when Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald was the one that... Yeah, I do hunt shinies. I do hunt shinies, and I fully IV train my Pokemon. Every time. My favorite Pokemon is probably Articuno. Yeah, IV... Oh, sorry. Not IV, EV. I EV train, and then I check for IVs. Every time. Sorry. Effort value versus, whatever I stands for. I don't know. I don't know what I didn't like about WoW. I just never played it. Do you play any Mario games? Honestly, no. I didn't really have any consoles. when I was growing up. I have played tic-tac-toe, and nice. I didn't own any consoles. I basically had like a Game Boy Advance, and then I remember I was given a DS by someone who really, really liked me. Have you ever played Zelda? Nope, I have never played any Zelda games. Not one Zelda game. No Zelda. I've played some Total War, yeah. Stop making fun of me! Stop making fun of me! God! I played Sonic on like the school Nintendo, on the school Super Nintendo. Yeah, I know who Prinplop is. I don't know if I'm a new gamer. I just was very poor. Hopscotch, no. Yeah, I played a lot of tower defense. Look, if it was a free game, I played it. My school had a Nintendo. I was always in those after school care companies because nobody was at home, so they don't let you go home, and so they had a Nintendo. Good luck, Panda. Yeah, BTD 5. I remember BTD 1. What is Brick Force? No. Guys, I was poor, okay? I don't know. Stop gatekeeping me. We were doing scary stories, yeah, for a bit. Lumi's one of those gamers that had to hide their Game Boys at night under the blanket. Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I liked games a lot. Like a lot. I don't know. I think I just like... I love your model, by the way. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I stream every day at 7 p.m. EST, so... tomorrow we're doing some fun video watching. We're just chatting now. I should probably change my title. We're done with... We read a bunch of scary stories. Yeah, tomorrow's stream is a bit earlier. I have one true scary story. Okay, join my Discord and then tell me. Have you played the remake Pokemon? Yeah, I'm currently getting through... I think I have Shining Pearl. Kind of bored of it, honestly. It's fine. I just played the original Pearl, so I don't care. You ever eat food? No. Shit. Yeah, Pokemon BDSM. Ooh, that's midnight for me. It's like 8 a.m. right now. Oh, wow. EU, huh? Well, Saturday I will be streaming all day. How was the taco? It was good. I got a taco. What? Oh my god, I can't wait for Legend of Arceus. Yes! Yes, I can't wait for Legend of Arceus. That one looks so good. I'm a Brit. Are you? So nice to have you. My editor's a Brit. And thank you for the sub. And thank you so much for the sub. My editor's a Brit, and he often schools me in Age of Empires 4. We do a lot of like watch-along kind of things in our Discord. So if you're sub to me, you can join in. I don't know, it's quite active actually. That's a great accent. Thank you. Thank you. I can also do this one. Wait, I lost it. I can do this one. Welcome to the cult, mate. Yeah, welcome to the cult. We play golf also. For some reason. What is my least favorite strategy game? Aussie? Yeah? I'm not a big fan of like... genre-wise, I play a lot of 4X. I really like RTS. So I'm gonna have to say that my least favorite strategy game genre is GSG. Not because I don't like it. It's more like it's just really long, so I kind of like I never have time to do it. Yeah, I've got two Aussie mods. And my editors are Brit, and I think the other two are American, I suppose. Turn-based strategy. I said 4x, didn't I? I said 4x, didn't I? Not a lot of great combat in GSG, leans heavy on the management, I guess. Yeah, I have like 1,000 hours in Civ. Like, I have 1,000 hours in Civ fucking 5. And I wasn't a big fan of Civ 6. We did a playthrough of Humankind, which I was kind of meh on. We played it on something. We played it on one of the harder difficulties, and it was like not even hard. I played CK3 on stream once, and we did an incest run. That was pretty fun. What's going on in this neck of the woods? We were telling some scary stories, and now we're kind of just hanging out. No more scary. What strategy games do you 100% recommend? Age of Empires 2, baby! If you get Age of Empires 4, you can play with us in Discord. You see, EU4 is like chess, but with the playtime of golf. It's a man's game. You wouldn't understand. Well, I guess I wouldn't understand. Are there VODs for the CK streams? Yeah, on YouTube. If you check, if you click the link to my YouTube, that's where I played that. Here, the follow. Aoki Gahara. Any strong kids? We did have a genius. We were playing, we were in Kiev. We started in Kiev, and we had a genius child. So that was quite good. I need to revisit that playthrough, I think. Thank you, Jinx. But yeah, we do a lot of... I feel like there's no game that I really won't play. Every time I played Civ 6 and every time I tried to play the game to get to the future with more than one person other than me... Really? It gets errors. That's terrible. I wasn't a fan of Civ 6. I liked playing, Eleanor? It is Eleanor, isn't it? Yeah. Civ 6... Yeah, Eleanor of Aquitaine is who I always played, and then I tried to go for Culture Victory with her... with the French Eleanor. Yeah... But otherwise, I didn't really play Civ 6 as much. Something about it just didn't feel as good to me. There's no game that I really won't play. I mean, I'll play most things. Look, I'll play most genres of game. I am, however, a sucker for good combat. So if you give me a game with a good combat system, I'll play it, hands down. Actually, on Monday, I am playing... I'm gonna be playing, Magica with, Jelly. Good night, Amaterasu. On Monday, we're gonna play, no, Magica. Magica with Jelly. I was talking about it, or someone was talking about it, and I was like, I talked to Jelly about that. Why haven't we played yet? Mountain Blade sounds good. Yeah, we're playing Magica. Hell yeah! I've got a Magica collab lined up. I'm working on another RimWorld collab that's gonna be fun. And then we're gonna there's an AoE 4 collab with a lot of cute girls in it. Ooh, a lot of cute girls. Oh, I love Naraka. Oh, I really love Naraka. How is Naraka doing numbers-wise? Because I played it in the beginning, and I was actually one of the top 50, is her name Otohime? Naraka... Oh, Yotohime. I was one of the top 50 Yotohime. I remember. When I played it, I played it in the very beginning, and I ranked on the board, and then I was like, yeah, okay. I played with some of my friends. That was a good game. Really good combat system on that one. We just finished Sekiro, and that was one of the best games I've ever played, honestly. So good. It's just fluid. I have watched Death Note, yeah. I even watched the live action for some reason. What was Sekiro? Naraka's just Souls Apex, yeah. Why was Sekiro one of the best games? Have you read the new manga? No, I haven't. Since I started streaming, I really haven't had any time to do anything else. I didn't mind the movie, honestly. Why did you watch the Death Note live action on Netflix? Because I wanted to see if it was bad. You know, I really like bad movies and bad shows. Like, if it's bad, I want to see it. Although I did not finish Cats. That was maybe too bad for me. Yeah, I haven't really had much time since I started streaming because I'm also, I'm a pretty full-time student. Cats is okay, the original. I mean, yeah, the Cats original on Broadway must have been great, but I don't know about the new one. Maybe not. Will you ever see that the live action? Well, it's good that I'm not super weeby, I guess. Wait, it has Donald Trump in it? What? Wait, why? Why does it have that? That's so weird. Thank you for the follow, World Speedwagon. That's strange. Anyway, so tomorrow I'll be streaming 6 p.m. EST, 3 p.m. PST. We're gonna do some engineering, deep diving, I don't know. We'll just watch fun videos. It'll be a guided Lumi YouTube tour. And then, no, I haven't heard of that trilogy. Thank you for the follow, Second Milo. And then... Am I getting raided? Thank you for the follow. Joao? Is that a Portuguese name? I'm guessing that's Portuguese. How do I pronounce that? I don't speak Portuguese. Is it... Hi! Portuguese? Algambiar? Thank you for the follow. Elucida Toylan. Am I getting raided? What's happening? Hello? Joao is Portuguese for John. How do I pronounce it? Is there a H sound? Or is it a J sound? Joao? Can I call you John? Can I call you John? Sorry. Thank you for the follows. I'm so confused. Have you guys been here or should I stick around? Oh, let's end off on a song. Joao Paulo Coelho Nana da Silva. Let's end off on a song. Tomorrow I'm streaming 6 p.m. EST. Saturday I will be streaming 12 p.m. EST for 24 hours until the next day. So 24 hours on Saturday. So if you pop in, you'll probably catch me. Let's end on a song. Let's do something kind of calming. Let's do something... Gotta open my set list. I don't know, chat. Do you have any ideas, chat? Okay, I don't know that song. I'm sorry. I have to try a different one. No, I don't know Tequila yet. I've been learning Korean songs this week. Major Tom? Fine. Alright, let's do Major Tom. That's called Space Oddity, by the way. It's called Space Oddity, not Major Tom. Let's do it. I'm gonna keep the rain sounds on, but just turn it down a little bit. I think... We're leaving the ocean. What? Eres tú by Moncidades. I don't know that one. Alright. Let's sing. Thank you for the follow. That one guy you didn't know. Space Oddity's good? Good, because I love Space Oddity. I don't like this karaoke. 1 second. We have to do a different one. Alright. Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. Commencing countdown, engines on. Check ignition and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in the most peculiar way. And the stars look very different today. Here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. Though I'm past 100,000 miles, I'm feeling very still. And I think my spaceship knows which way to go. Tell my wife I love her very much, she knows. Ground control to Major Tom, your circuit's dead. Is something wrong? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Here am I floating around my tin can, far above the moon. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. Let's do one more. Let's do this one. Welcome to Lumi's stream, where I keep singing for hours because I keep singing forever. I don't know. There's no end to the karaoke. Every stream is karaoke stream, and I sing forever. Kaneko, just one song? Lumi, yeah. No galam song. When I'm practicing, maybe we'll just do like old songs one day. I'm probably gonna make that into a short instead of singing it live. Kaneko, I can quit whenever I... Stop making fun of me. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't tell. Falling in love with you. Oh, shall I say, would it be a sin? Oh, if I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too. Oh, if I can't help falling in love with you. Oh, like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Oh, take my hand, take my whole life too. For I can't help falling in love with you. Oh, for I can't help falling in love with you. I'm sorry, can we do one more? I'm sorry, I just enjoy it. What can I do? Wait, I have an idea. Let's skip out of this rain. Wait, can I find a sunrise? Oh, look, sunrise. Yeah. Alright, this is for the good morning people. Good morning if it's morning for you. Oh, we can do Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. I know that one. Beyond the Sky from Xenoblade Chronicles. I've never played Xenoblade Chronicles. This is awkward. What is 888? In Japanese, it's like pachi. Like, that's a clapping sound. Pachi, pachi, pachi. Alright, let's do Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. Oh, I like this cover. It is a lucky number, yeah. God, I'm on the wrong key. This is kind of low. I don't know why it's so low. Okay, try again. Let's just rerun it. Run it back. I missed my cue. Has arrived. Thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. There we go. Pardon the way that I stare. There's nothing else to compare. The sight of you leaves me weak. There are no words left to speak. But if you feel like I feel, please let me know that it's real. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. I need you, baby. And if it's quite alright, I need you, baby. baby, till on the lonely night. I love you, baby. Trust in me when I say, oh, pretty baby, don't let me down, I pray. Oh, pretty baby, now that I found you, stay and let me love you, baby. Let me love you. It's too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You'd be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. At long last, love has arrived. I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I need you, baby. Alright, I need you, baby. Till on the lonely night, I need you, baby. Trust in me when I say it's okay. Oh, pretty baby, me down I pray. Oh, pretty baby, now that I found you, stay. Trust in me when I say, eyes off for you. Can't take my eyes off of you. Baby, let me love you. Sorry, everyone knows what I'm gonna say. Everyone knows what I'm gonna say. Just one more. I need a just one more emote, I think. I need someone to draw me a just one more emote. I'm gonna go and commission that from someone. If one person could please open their emote commissions, please. I just need a just one more emote. Just one more, please. Let's do... Hey, how about this one? How about this one? Since it's still kind of winter, let's do this one. If I can just find my file. Look. Look. I got the perfect one. Are you ready? I'm gonna duet with myself. This is not crazy. I've done this before. I am not insane. It's gonna feature deep voice me and regular me, so... Oh, shit. Let's find snow. Sunrise and snow. You can't tell me this isn't huge brain. Look at this. Alright, good morning, everyone. It is snowing now. Alright, ready? Really can't stay. It's cold outside. I've got to go away. This evening has been so very nice. My mother will start to worry. My father will be pacing the floor. So really I'd better scurry. I have to drink more. Neighbors might think, say what's in this drink. I wish I knew how to break the spell. I ought to say no, sir. At least I'm gonna say that I tried. Really can't stay. Baby, it's cold. You're very pushy, you know.
I like to think of it as opportunistic.
I simply must go. The answer is no.
Baby, it's cold outside.
The welcome has been so nice and warm. My sister will be suspicious. My brother will be there at the door. My maiden aunt's mind is vicious. Well, maybe just one song more. I gotta get home. Say, lend me your coat. It's really been grand, but don't you see? Bound to be talked tomorrow. At least there will be plenty implied. Really can't stay. Baby, it's cold. Baby, it's cold outside. Alright, just one more song. Amazing. I'm kidding, no more songs. That's the end of the stream. I should make up a goodbye jingle or something that I sing at the end of streams so I make sure that I'm actually done. One more song times 4. That's every single stream. What a wonderful world. I'll finish it up tomorrow. How about that? Thank you for streaming with me. Thank you. Thank you. Can we find someone to raid? Is there anyone on to raid? Thank you. You sound really good. Thank you. I probably do want to do another one, but for the sake of my mods who seem kind of tired, I will not. For the sake of my mods, okay? For them, I will not. I don't... Snuffy's on. Clea's on. Let's find another cool VTuber. Yuri there, Kira, Fua. Who are these people? How about I guess Snuffy's on. I don't really know her, so it's awkward. Hey, Clio's doing animated emotes. That could be kind of chill. Milky just went live? I don't really know Milky. What do I do? Thanks for the stream. It was really enjoyable. Time was the first time watching. I'm really glad that you guys had a good time. Big thank you to my mod team who was very wonderful and welcoming. Big thank you to everyone who helped out. Domo for the raid, of course. Alright, let's see. I'm kind of tempted to find just like an actual music streamer, an IRL one, and stream and raid them. Alright, let's raid My Ruby. I see her sometimes. Let's raid My Ruby. She's cute. I've seen her in Neon's chat, so she must be kind of nice. I'm assuming. My Ruby. She's been going for 5 hours. Oh god, I think she's gonna end. This is maybe not good. Okay, we can't raid her. She's gonna end. This is so tough. Alright, fuck it. Yuri Dairy. Alright. This is Hylo's sister. Please say hi to her. If you guys can do... Yeah, I think she's gonna end though, Neon, so I can't raid her right now. Just do a star raid for me, and please be respectful to other streamers. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. I'll be streaming again tomorrow, 6 p.m. EST. Doing some stuff. Yeah. What if you raid a 2-view? I don't know. I don't see any 2-views on. I guess that's the problem with Twitch. But I set it up for Yuri Dairy. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I will be on, I'll be 24-hour streaming on Saturday. So, come back around then. またね、ベアベア。おつれみ。おやすみ。Or good morning, if it's morning for you.